Chapter 4629 is your new spiritual pet? Master Ouyang finally recovered from He Xingjia's heaven-defying breakthrough. He nodded and said, "It's good that you're back. Where have you been for the past year?" Before He Xingjiu could say anything, Elder One snorted coldly and said, "Yun Chujiu, as the successor disciple of the sect leader, how should you be punished for leaving the sect without permission?" Before He Xingjiu could think of an excuse, Di Baiming said coldly, "It was me who took her away." "What? Do you have a problem with that?" Under Di Baiming's pressure, Elder One instantly broke out in cold sweat. His legs were even trembling. He gritted his teeth and said, No, I was just saying." Di Baiming looked at him coldly and did not say anything else. He Xingjiu felt that the gigolo was simply too damn handsome. If it were not for the fact that there were many people present, this guy would definitely go up and take a few bites. However, he still had to explain. After all, Di Baiming would be leaving soon, and she still had to stay in the Nameless Sword sect for a period of time. This guy instantly squeezed out a few tears. "Master, I suddenly contracted a terrible disease that day. My fiancé took me to find someone to treat it. I was unconscious for more than a year and only woke up a few days ago. My fiancé didn't think properly and didn't greet you. I apologize to you on his behalf." Master Ouyang naturally didn't believe this fellow's nonsense in his heart. "You're as lively as a rabbit. How could you look like you've just recovered from a serious illness?" However, he didn't dare to offend Di Baiming. He laughed and said, "I see. Since there's a reason for this matter, then let's leave it at that." Elder One was secretly resentful, but he did not dare to say a word. He was afraid that Di Baiming would kill him. Master Ouyang was a little concerned. He inadvertently saw the red shadow rabbit in the corner and asked curiously, "Little Nine, is that your new spiritual pet?" "Ching. You are the spiritual pet. Your whole family is a spiritual pet." Master Ouyang nodded. He was a little puzzled. This rabbit was a little special. Why was it always standing on two legs? Did it not find it tiring? Master Ouyang said a few more words to take good care of his body and even specially invited Di Baiming to stay for a few more days to host a banquet for Yun Yun. Di Baiming coldly rejected the invitation to attend the banquet. Master Ouyang did not dare to say anything more, thinking that this person was too cold and aloof. After Master Ouyang and the others left, Chu Feng also turned around and left. Yun Chujiu found it funny in her heart. She knew that Chu Feng must have something to look for her, and it was most likely about Little Moon. However, she did not have the time to pay attention to him with her current wretched appearance, so she pretended not to see him. Since He Xingjia's courtyard had been destroyed, it would take at least 2 to 3 days to rebuild it. Therefore, the guy found an empty courtyard to stay in. After bathing and changing, He Xingjiu drew her eyebrows and tied a handkerchief on her head before she left the house. When she came out, she happened to see Di Baiming putting away a voice transmission rune. Was it sent from the head of the black chicken? Di Baiming nodded. Over the past year, he and Feng have been having a hard time. Some of the forces that we originally established have also been completely devoured. Prince Charming, I'm already a ghost ancestor now. Shouldn't you tell me some things that you know? For example, what have you and Black Rooster's head been doing? And for example, where are my parents? Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes and asked. Chapter 4630 The Purpose of the Divine Devil Hall. Di Baiming glanced at the red shadow rabbit, who had been knocked unconscious by him once again, and then said, "Just as you guessed before, the ultimate purpose of the Divine Devil Hall is not the Eye of Earth Profound. These are just a feint." Di Baiming paused for a moment with a hint of self-mockery. He said, "Their ultimate purpose should be me. It's just that I don't seem to be able to die. I've been in danger several times and managed to save my life. That's why I've been entangled with so many continents." Yun Chujiu could hear the bitterness in Di Baiming's self-mockery. She stretched out her hand and hugged Di Baiming's waist, but she did not say anything. Di Baiming let her hug him and continued, "You should have noticed that the actions of the Divine Devil Hall in every continent have no pattern. They appear and disappear mysteriously. No one can figure out their patterns." Yun Chujiu nodded, especially in the Towering Sky continent. Although the Divine Devil Hall would appear from time to time, it seemed to be just a feint and did not have any substantial actions. My guess is that although they aren't looking for the Eye of Earth Profound, they should be looking for something. Perhaps it's something that can completely kill me, or perhaps it's those bones. Therefore, what I can do is to cultivate my own forces and disrupt their plans. I can't let them succeed or find those things before them," Di Baiming said. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes and said, "Prince Charming, do you think they are looking for those small bones? What exactly are those bones?" "I'm not sure, but those bones are very important to me. Those bones can not only be used to cast secret arts. I have a vague feeling that the more bones they gather, the closer I am to the truth. However, if they are only looking for those bones, there is no reason for them to set up troops in some low-level continents. I think they are still looking for another thing. Di Biming said with some uncertainty. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. Prince Charming, didn't you tell me that Lan Luochen might have a connection with the Divine Devil Hall? Lan Luochen has been painstakingly looking for those black beads, but my black beads can devour those black beads. Could it be that they are ultimately looking for the free food in my dantian? I had the same guess, but from the clues, the Divine Devil Hall doesn't seem to know about the black beads in your dantian. This makes it hard to figure out what is going on. Yun Chujio stood on her tiptoes and pecked Di Biming on the lips. Prince Charming, it doesn't matter. The day will come when the clouds will be cleared and the sun will shine. That red shadow rabbit said that the ghost ancestor could not be more dead. Am I not still alive and kicking? No matter how powerful the master of the Divine Devil Hall is, there will be times when he will be careless. Sooner or later we will find his lair and kill him. Moreover, doesn't this red shadow rabbit want to be a spy? Let's just beat him at his own game. Who knows, the breakthrough might be on him. Di Biming looked at the Qiying rabbit who had fainted in the corner. The news that you are the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor cannot be leaked to the Divine Devil Hall. I think it is safer to kill him. Yun Chujio smiled sinisterly. Prince Charming, don't worry. From now on he will be a rabbit. I will let Curly Hair keep an eye on him. He won't be able to escape from my palm. Di Biming looked at the red shadow rabbit in the corner with a complicated gaze. His future life would definitely be exciting. Chapter 4631, Shui Wuji's past life. What about my parents? Where are they? Yun Chujio looked up at Di Biming with anticipation. Di Biming hesitated for a moment before saying, they are all in the Chongshao continent, so their lives are not in danger for the time being. Also, according to the information I found, there is something fishy about the Yun family's ancestral tomb. Yun Chujio was not too surprised by this. She had long felt that the Yun family's ancestral tomb was very strange. How could there be a clan member left behind to guard the tomb? Moreover, the manor head had shut himself in on the night of the full moon. It was obvious that there was a problem. Yun Chujio did not continue to ask Yun Fongjin and Yilan where they were. Even Di Biming was unable to save them now. It was useless for her to ask. It was more important to increase her strength. For a moment, the two of them did not speak. Alright, Prince Charming, you said that you were a Shengzun in your previous life. Isn't there a seal on Wu Jia's head? What was he in his previous life? Yun Chujio asked curiously. Di Biming frowned slightly. Although I'm not sure, it's most likely related to the demon race. Demon race? Yun Chujio suddenly raised her voice. Wu Jia's head might cause trouble. The human race and the demon race are like fire and water. In the future, when his seal is completely broken, he won't turn hostile and refuse to acknowledge us, right? Di Biming was amused by her words. Breaking the seal is not like losing his memory. Although that idiot is a little stupid, he's still okay. He won't do anything to betray me or hurt you. She asked her own question and Di Biming chuckled. Who said that humans can't become the Lord and the ghost ancestor? Yun Chujio touched her nose. That was true. Besides, it didn't matter if they were human or not. After all, they had done it before, so what was there to be afraid of? Prince Charming, how about this? You go and do your thing. As for me, I will think of a way to take care of the 9 pavilions. Even if there is someone behind the 9 pavilions, they won't be able to extend their hand too far. In addition, I will think of a way to get the pearls from the other 5 sects to feed to the Black Pearl. Perhaps the Black Pearl will be of great help to us in the future. Yun Chujio pretended to be relaxed as she said. Although she could not bear for Di Biming to leave, Shui Wuji and Enfeng obviously could not hold on any longer, so she could only let Di Biming leave. Moreover, if she wanted to save her parents and find out the truth of her past life, she had to work hard to become stronger. Whether it was her or Di Biming, the two of them had to carry a heavy burden in order to have the right to be together for a long time. Di Biming did not say anything. He just kissed Yun Chujio's forehead and disappeared in a flash. Just as Yun Chujio was feeling depressed, Qiying woke up. He walked to Yun Chujio's side with great effort. Yun Chujio, when are you going to find me a human body? If you don't find me a human body, I will go find it myself. Shinjio was in a bad mood. When she heard that, she kicked the unlucky Qiying away. Get lost. Get as far away as possible. Qiying Rabbit, who had almost fainted from the kick, was dumbfounded. Where was Brother Qiying? Where was their cooperation? Where was their love for each other? In the past, it was fine if they were violent with their words, but now they were using their feet to kick him? Qiying was stunned for a long while before he got up and walked out of the courtyard. Even without this wretched girl's help, he could still find a body that could possess him. Chapter 46:32 You dare to touch my rabbit? Qiying snorted coldly in his heart. He would simply find someone to possess him and then leave the nameless sword sect. When that time came, he would be able to make a great contribution by telling them about the ghost realm and the demon realm. Wan Pengqing had long hated Yun Chuzhou to death, but he had failed repeatedly. He originally thought that Yun Chuzhou was dead, but he did not expect that not only was she not dead, but she had also caused trouble for his grandfather the moment she returned. She really deserved to die. However, Elder One had instructed Wan Pengqing not to act rashly because the man beside Yun Chuzhou was too terrifying. Therefore Wan Pengqing did not dare to look for trouble with Yun Chuzhou. Coincidentally, he had bumped into Qiying who was looking for its shell. Senior Marshal Brother Wan, this is the stupid rabbit that Yun Chuzhou just recently accepted that can only walk on 2 legs. One of the lackeys said obsequiously. Wan Pengqing sneered. It just so happens that I want to eat rabbit meat. Kill it for me. Anyway, our nameless sword sect doesn't allow spirit beasts to wander around on their own. It's asking for it. Qiying revealed a disdainful expression. Just these few good-for-nothings wanted to capture him? He was really dreaming. However, he forgot that the rodent hurricane rabbit he possessed was only at level 63, which was equivalent to the first layer of the soulless realm. It was a trash existence in the nameless sword sect. In a moment he was captured by Wan Pengqing's lackeys. One of them took out a treasured sword and was about to chop off his rabbit head. Qiying was really scared now. Although he could release his primordial spirit, it was very fragile outside the ghost realm. Even if he did, it would be a death sentence. He regretted it. Wasn't he just kicked? It was fine if he endured it, but why did he have to run away from home? If he was given another chance, he would definitely silently endure that kick. No, he would not even get close to that smelly girl. Just as Qiying was regretting his decision, the disciple who controlled him suddenly fell to the ground. Although Qiying did not know what happened, he ran back to save his life. However, he only knew how to walk on 2 legs. He would fall to the ground after running a few steps. It was a terrible sight. Wan Pengqing and the others were just teasing him. They followed behind him and laughed loudly. Qiying almost wanted to die. At this moment he saw Yun Chuzhou slowly walking over with a big kitchen knife. It was the second time Qiying was so happy to see He Xinjiu. As for the first time, it was naturally in the demon area. Yun Chuzhou glanced at the red shadow rabbit with a faint smile and said softly, "Didn't you say that I ran away from home? Go away." Qiying tightly shut his mouth and didn't say anything. He finally understood his situation now. If others knew that he could speak, his life would probably be lost. Yun Chuzhou snorted coldly and looked at Wan Pengqing and the others who followed closely behind. What? Is it because I've been away for a long time that some people don't know the immensity of heaven and earth? My rabbit dares to have designs on me? Is it tired of living? Yun Chuzhou said casually. Wan Pengqing was afraid of de-biming and was about to turn around to leave when a lackey came to his side and said, "Senior Brother Wan, the people who are watching said that the wild man has left." Wan Pengqing immediately became confident when he heard that. As long as the wild man was not here, he was not afraid of her. As for Master Ouyang Humph, his grandfather had said that he would replace him very soon. Chapter 46:33 Rabbit? Yun Chuzhou had also heard the lackey's words. She had long known that there were spies around the courtyard, but she couldn't be bothered with them. If she wanted to gain a foothold in the Nameless Sword sect, the first step would be to make an attack on Elder One. She had been worried that she wouldn't have an excuse. This Wan Pengqing was really courting death. Yun Chuzhou, stop pretending. Your spiritual pet trespassed in the sect without permission and violated the sect rules. I want to catch it and punish it on the spot. You'd better not stop it, or you'll be violating the sect rules, Wan Pengqing said arrogantly. Trespassing without permission? Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm walking the rabbit? Yun Chuzhou pouted and said. Qiying, he never thought that the word walking could be used on him. Yun Chuzhou, don't be unreasonable. If you don't hand over the rabbit today, don't blame us for being impolite. Wan Pengqing had intended to use this as an excuse to make a scene, so he naturally played right into Yun Chuzhou's hands. Hand over your grandmother's leg. After Yun Chuzhou finished her words, her body moved as well. The big kitchen knife in her hand slashed at Wan Pengqing's neck. Wan Pengqing was obviously not used to this kind of fighting style where he would start a fight at the slightest disagreement. In addition, He Xinjia's spiritual power was now higher than his. Although her neck was not cut, her shoulder was cut with a wound so deep that the bone could be seen. A quarter of an hour later, Wan Pengcheng and his lackeys were lying on the ground, screaming. Yun Chuzhou looked at Qiying, who was stunned, and said, "Go and slap them. The harder the better." Qiying did not understand why, but when he thought of the detestable nature of these people, he immediately became angry. He walked in front of those people and slapped them. Some of their teeth were knocked out. "All right, stop hitting them. Let's go." "Well, continue walking tomorrow," Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Qiying did not have anywhere else to go, so he used all his strength to follow behind Yun Chuzhou with his 2 rabbit legs and returned to the courtyard. He had also arrived at the courtyard. He also understood why Yun Chuzhou wanted him to slap those people's faces. This vicious little girl was trying to attract hatred. Those people must hate him to death. If he dared to go out alone in the future, he would definitely be beaten to death. Qiying simply felt that he had no hope in life. He had a premonition that he was going to be a rabbit forever. Yun Chuzhou did not pay attention to him. Instead, she looked at the 2 wisps of almost invisible drifters with admiration. Of course, she would not let Qiying leave, so she sent the 2 wisps of drifters to follow him. Otherwise, the disciple who controlled Qiying would not have suddenly fallen. Yun Chuzhou rubbed her chin and pondered. Wan Pengcheng had been beaten up by her, so Elder Wan would definitely complain to Master Ouyang. She had to beat him to it. Thinking of this, Yun Chuzhou prepared to go to Master Ouyang to complain. Qiying became anxious when he saw that she was about to leave. "Yun Chuzhou, where are you going?" Yun Chuzhou glanced at him. "Do I have to report to you where I'm going? Get lost." Qiying was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but he still swallowed his anger and said, "Bring me with you. Otherwise, I'm afraid those people will come to take revenge." Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. "You're not a real spiritual beast. I can't put you into the spiritual beast bag at all." In order to prove her words, Yun Chuzhou used her spiritual sense to try to put Qiying into the spiritual beast pouch. However, Qiying disappeared from the spot with a whoosh. Chapter 46-34. Qiying, who has nothing left to live for. Where's the rabbit? Where did it go? Just as Yun Chuzhou was in a daze, Dog 2's maniacal laughter came from her spiritual sense. Little fairy, a little shadow has been put into your spirit beast bag. Aha, I'm dying of laughter. He has become your spirit beast." Yun Chuzhou used her spiritual sense to scan the spirit beast pouch and saw a rabbit that stood out from the crowd. The reason why he stood out from the crowd was because he was standing on 2 legs. Naturally, he was a level higher than the other dumb cubs. Qiying had already begun to doubt life. He was a human, all right. Although he had possessed the rabbit, his primordial spirit was a human. Why was he put into the spiritual beast bag? Why was he put into the spiritual beast bag? Why was he put into the spiritual beast bag? "Yun Chuzhou, let me out. Find me a human body right now or I will kill myself. No, I will self-detonate my primordial spirit." Qiying felt that he was going crazy and he roared loudly. It was a pity that he had no spiritual connection with Yun Chuzhou, so Yun Chuzhou could not hear him at all. However, He Xinjiu knew that Qiying was probably going crazy even with her heel. She used her spiritual sense to say to the dumb cuties, "Knock him out so he doesn't scream." Therefore, the miserable Qiying was knocked out by a group of dumb cuties. Buttface curled his lips. "You still want to be a spy by the little fairy's side? I can't torture you to death." Yun Chuzhou was actually very puzzled. It was strange. Why did she put Qiying into the spirit beast pouch? Previously, when the gigolo turned into a snake, she also tried, but it didn't succeed. How did it succeed with Qiying? It was simply too strange. Yun Chuzhou didn't have a clue at the moment, so she didn't have the time to think about it. She simply threw this matter to the back of her mind and ran to Master Ouyang's courtyard. Master, my most respected master, your precious disciple has come to see you." He Xinjia's voice arrived before she arrived. The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched. It seemed that his courtyard would not be peaceful in the future. He Xinjiu entered the house and first bowed. Then she said with a smile, "Master, during the time I was away, did that shameless Elder One make you angry a lot?" Although Master Ouyang was dissatisfied with Elder One, as the sect leader of a sect, he naturally could not speak ill of him. Therefore he just smiled and did not say anything. "Master, it seems that I guessed correctly. The so-called disciple is Master's intimate little cotton-padded jacket. If that old thing bullies you, then he'll beat up his grandson. Master, I just gave that Wan Pengcheng a good beating. I guarantee that he won't recover for 10 days to half a month." After saying this, He Xinjiu looked at Master Ouyang with an expression that asked for praise. "Master Ouyang? Master, don't worry. Although I can't beat that old man, Elder Wan, it's not a problem for me to deal with his son and grandson. You just wait and see." He Xinjiu said flatteringly. Master Ouyang suddenly felt a headache. He felt that his peaceful life was gone forever. At this moment, a guard came in and reported, Master, Elder One wants to see you. He asked someone to carry Wan Pengcheng with him. After the guard left, He Xinjiu said with a smile, Master, in doing this for you, you can't just ignore me. Master Ouyang felt his head hurt even more. He sighed, you beat him up, there must be a reason, right? Why did you beat that Wan Pengcheng? He stopped me from walking the rabbit. Yun Chujio said righteously. Chapter 46:35 begins your performance. Master Ouyang almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What the hell kind of reason was that? As a cultivator who would be free to walk a rabbit for fun. Seeing the situation, He Xinjiu hurriedly continued, as you can see, my rabbit is a stupid rabbit. It can't walk on 4 legs, so I plan to walk it often. Maybe it will learn how to walk on 4 legs. I was just walking the rabbit, but that Wan Pengcheng accused my rabbit of trespassing in the sect and tried to kill my rabbit. The most annoying thing is that Wan Pengcheng said that you are nothing. He said that you are just a decoration and didn't dare to do anything to him. When I heard that, my little temper flared up, so I beat him and his lackeys. Master Ouyang's expression suddenly became a little ugly, but it was true. No matter who it was, no one would be in a good mood. Did he really say that? Master Ouyang asked in a deep voice. Absolutely true. My rabbit can prove it to me. That Wan Pengcheng also said that I won't be a true disciple of the sect master for a few more days. Master, what do you think he meant by that? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and asked. Master Ouyang slammed the table angrily. What did he mean? Elder Wan was trying to replace him. How detestable. Yun Chujio stole a glance at Master Ouyang's ashen face and was secretly happy. Everyone knew that Elder Wan wanted to replace him, so she wasn't lying. She was just helping them speak their hearts. Don't thank her too much. At this moment, Elder Wan walked in. Someone was carrying a soft couch behind him, and Wan Pengcheng was lying on it half dead. Not only that, there were elders who requested to see him one after another. It was obvious that they were all called by Elder Wan. They were here to cheer for him. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Master, I'm not afraid of my shoes being crooked. Why don't you just call all the elders over so that everyone can judge me? I'm going to be bullied to death. The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched. Wan Pengcheng's face was swollen like a pig's head. There were even lines on his face. No one knew what sharp weapon he had used. His body was also covered in blood. It was obvious that his injuries were not light. On the other hand, his precious disciple did not even have a speck of mud on his body, let alone blood. Who was bullying who? However, Master Ouyang knew that this disciple of his was full of bad intentions. Perhaps he could reverse the truth. Hence, Elder Ouyang called all the elders over. This was also good. He could take this opportunity to get more people to defect to him. Very soon, all the elders were present. They looked at Wan Pengcheng, who was half dead on the soft couch. They were all confused. What was going on? When everyone had arrived, before Elder Wan could say anything, He Xinjiu said tearfully, Elders, you must stand up for me. My master said that he would not stand up for me because of the harmony of the sect and the stability of the overall situation. I'm so miserable. The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched violently once again. Precious disciple, begin your performance. Elder Dongfang was very cooperative with He Xinjiu, his face full of concern. Little Jiu, who bullied you? Sect master, this is your fault. No matter how much you think about the overall situation, you can't let little Jiu suffer. Chapter 46:36. Grand Disciple. Master Ouyang sighed and didn't say anything. Actually, he didn't know what to say. This was the safest way. When everyone saw Master Ouyang like this, they immediately thought of something. Everyone knew that Master Ouyang and Elder Wan weren't on good terms. Could it be that Master Ouyang really had something to hide? Elder Wan felt everyone's suspicious gaze and almost went mad. However, Yun Chujio did not mention her name. If he said anything now, he would fall into her trap. Unfortunately, he understood this logic, but Wan Pengcheng did not. Wan Pengcheng shouted in exasperation, Yun Chujio, you bitch. You were clearly the one who beat me to such a state, but now you are pretending to be pitiful. Don't believe her. Elder Wan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He could only say, Sect Master, Yun Chujio beat my grandson to such a state for no reason. Now she wants the villain to complain first. Sect Master, please give us justice. Before Master Ouyang could say anything, he heard Yun Chujio sobbing. Did you all see that? I haven't even said anything yet, and they are already forcing my master. In order to satisfy them, my master forced me to compromise. I'm really too miserable. Master Ouyang sighed again when he heard that and didn't say anything. In this way it gave everyone endless daydreams. Elder Wan was so angry that he almost twitched. He pointed at Yun Chujio and said, "Good, good. Then explain to everyone why you beat Pengcheng?" Yun Chujio wiped her tears and said angrily, "Because he hit my rabbit and said that my master is nothing. He also said that my master and I are rabbits and our tails can't grow." "Elder Wan, do you think Wan Pengcheng should be hit? Or did you teach him to say these words?" Wan Pengcheng was so angry that he directly sat up from the soft couch. "Yun Chujio, you're farting. When did I say such a thing?" Yun Chujio sneered. "Did you see that, everyone?" He could have just sat up, but he was lying on the soft couch. He was obviously pretending to be pitiful. "I just lightly hit him a few times before. The rest of the injuries were caused by himself. He was just trying to make me suffer. Also, my rabbit can prove that he said those words that insulted my master." Wan Pengcheng almost fainted from anger. Fortunately, he saw the hint Elder Wan gave him and quickly said, "You're talking nonsense. I have witnesses. Junior brother Lu, junior brother Chi, and junior brother Bao can prove it for me. It was clearly your rabbit that ran around in the sect and violated the sect rules. We wanted to catch the rabbit and go to the law enforcement office, but you beat us up. I didn't say those words that insulted the sect leader. Of course your people have to speak up for you, so your witnesses don't count. You insulted my master. You dare to scold, but you don't dare to admit it, you coward," Yun Chujio said with a pout. Wan Pengcheng naturally didn't show weakness, so the two of them quarreled. Everyone looked at each other. There was no way to settle this lawsuit, because no one knew whether Wan Pengcheng scolded the sect leader or not. At this time Yun Chujio raised her voice and said, "To take a step back, even if what you said is right, I was just walking my rabbit. What right do you have to beat my rabbit? As the saying goes, you still have to look at the master to beat the rabbit. Strictly speaking, my rabbit is my master's grand disciple. What right do you have to beat my master's grand disciple?" Pu Master Ouyang spat out a mouthful of tea. Grand disciple? He didn't have such a grand disciple. Chapter 46-37, I also want my face. Master Ouyang was very embarrassed. He glared at Yun Chujio and spouted nonsense. How could he, the dignified sect master of the Nameless Sword sect, have a grand disciple rabbit? The others couldn't help but laugh. Grand disciple? To think that she could think of such a thing. Wan Pengcheng was stunned for a moment, and then said in a flustered and exasperated manner, "Yun Chujio, I don't care what grand disciple you say. When I saw that rabbit, it was clearly running around on its own. I didn't see you at all." Yun Chujio heard this and sighed. She pointed at her own head and said, "You saw it too. I was struck into a bald spot. I also want to save face, okay? So I hid behind the rabbit and secretly walked it to avoid being laughed at by others. You hit my rabbit without asking about the right and wrong. It was clearly intentional." Master Ouyang thought to himself, "Save face? With someone like you, you probably don't know what face is." Even Wan Pengcheng's heart was beating a little. Could it really be so? It was true. He had only chased her for a short while when this bitch appeared. Perhaps she had really hidden behind them. Elder Dongfang came out to smooth things over. "Everyone, I think this is just a misunderstanding. Why don't we just let it go so that we won't hurt the peace?" Elder Gu also said, "That's right. Wan Pengcheng wasn't really injured. Little Nine also had a reason for this. Let's just put this matter behind us." Elder Wan was furious. What did he mean by not being injured? Didn't you see that his grandson's face was swollen like a pig's head? And the injuries on his body couldn't be healed for at least 8 to 10 days. How preposterous. However, at this point, what could he say? If the stalemate continued, that damn girl would definitely insist that Pengcheng had scolded that old fogey Ouyang. Forget it, she wouldn't be able to bounce around for long anyway. Thinking of this, Elder Wan snorted coldly and said, "All right, since everyone has said so, this matter ends here. Goodbye." After Elder Wan finished speaking, he didn't care about Master Ouyang's reaction and immediately got someone to carry Wan Pengcheng away. When the others saw that there was nothing else, they also left one after another. In the end, only He Xinjiu and Master Ouyang were left. Master Ouyang slammed the table. "Little Jiu, tell me the truth. Did that Wan Pengcheng scold me or not?" He Xinjiu blinked. "Master, even if he didn't scold me, he still thought so in his heart. I only helped him to say it in advance." "Master Ouyang?" "Master, everyone knows that that old thing Elder Wan wants to usurp the throne. If you tolerate him so much, it's like raising a tiger to cause trouble." He Xinjiu began to change the topic without batting an eyelid. Sure enough, Master Ouyang's attention was successfully diverted. He sighed, "How could I not know? But he has many followers. If he makes a move, it will affect the whole body. Our Nameless Sword sect might suffer a great loss. Therefore, I have been maintaining the surface harmony. Don't provoke him again in the future. Hei Xingjiu shook her head like a rattle drum. Master, what you said is wrong. What's the saying? Yes, a boil will eventually come out. Your negative approach will only increase his arrogance. In my opinion, even if his vitality is greatly damaged, it's still much better than this internal conflict. If this continues, sooner or later, our nameless sword sect will fall apart. At that time, it won't be a great loss of vitality, but a complete death. Chapter 46-38 Qiying, who was suppressed Master Ouyang, knew what Yin Chuzhou was talking about, but as the sect leader he had a lot of considerations and scruples, so he didn't make a move. Master, how about this? Let's let Elder One make the first move. Then we will have the moral high ground. No one can say anything against you. Hei Xingjiu blinked and said. Master Ouyang said with a wry smile, Elder One is a cunning and scheming man. The reason why he has been holding back is to find the right opportunity. Why would he make a move rashly? That's because he hasn't met me yet. Don't worry. After I've been a demon for a few times, he won't be able to hold back anymore. He will definitely take action. You just need to send someone to keep an eye on him and prepare for a response. As for provoking him, just leave it to me. I'm the best at this. Hei Xingjiu said confidently. Master Ouyang was still a little hesitant. I'll think about it. You should go back first and don't cause any more trouble. Yun Chuzhou secretly curled her lips. This cheap master was too indecisive. If she had killed Elder One long ago when he had bad intentions, why would she still keep him here? Although this fellow thought so in his heart, he said, Master, please think about it carefully. I promise to be obedient and not cause any trouble for you. Master Ouyang nodded and waved his hand to signal her to leave. Hei Xingjiu walked to the door and turned back, saying, Oh right, Master, you still have Zhuanghong? I think he has most likely hooked up with Elder One. Please don't raise a wolf cub. Send someone to keep an eye on him. Maybe Elder One will use him to poison you or something. Please be careful. It's simply breaking my heart. Sigh. Hei Xingjiu did not care about Master Ouyang's reaction after she finished speaking. She walked away with her hands behind her back. Master Ouyang looked at Hei Xingjius back in a daze. He was inexplicably touched. Although this little disciple had not been taken in for long, he was sincerely thinking of him. Thinking of Zhuanghong, Master Ouyang frowned. Sigh, his taste in choosing disciples was really not that good. The first disciple was stupid and the second disciple was evil. Only this little disciple that he had sent himself to take in was not bad, but it was a pity that she was a girl. Sigh. After leaving Master Ouyang's courtyard, Yun Chuzhou strolled back. In her mind, she planned that as long as she killed Elder Wan and his henchmen, the nameless sword sect would be hers. Then she would urge Master Ouyang and the other sects to join forces to kill the 9 pavilions. Just as this fellow was thinking happily, Buttface's voice came from his spiritual sense. Little fairy, that little shadow has woken up and is clamoring for you to find a body for him again. Beat him up until he is obedient. If he keeps clamoring about self-detonating his primordial spirit, tell him what happened to the last devil who threatened me to self-detonate my primordial spirit, Yin Chuzhou said faintly. Buttface immediately said to Qiying, who was shouting loudly, the little fairy said that if you don't behave yourself, we will continue to beat you up until even Chuamo doesn't recognize you. Also, don't think that you can threaten the little fairy by self-destructing your primordial spirit. The last demon who threatened the little fairy by self-destructing his primordial spirit was eaten by the little fairy. Do as you see fit. Qiying, who was happily shouting, immediately quieted down with a dumbfounded look on his face. This smelly girl could actually devour her primordial spirit? How was this possible? Even the legendary ghost ancestor was not so evil. Chapter 46-39 Chu Fang's request for help. Hei Xingjiu yawned as she strolled to the courtyard where she was temporarily staying. She had been struck by lightning the night before, and she had been a little sleepy after being a demon. From afar, she could see Chu Fang pacing back and forth at the entrance of her courtyard. When Chu Fang saw that Yun Chuzhou had returned, he hurriedly came forward to welcome her. Junior sister Yun, has your fiancé left? Chu Fang asked anxiously. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Senior brother Chu, is there something you want to talk to me about? Chu Fang said impatiently. Junior sister Yun, let's talk inside. Yun Chuzhou was secretly happy, but she still opened the courtyard door and brought Chu Fang into the house. As soon as they entered the house, Chu Fang said with a frown, Junior sister Yun, you're finally back. I was so worried. I can't get in touch with Little Moon at all, and I don't know how she is now. Chu Fang's face immediately turned red and he muttered, How did you know? Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. She was not a fool, so of course she could guess. Tell me what's going on. Are you and Little Moon already cooked rice? I didn't expect you to have such guts. Yun Chujio teased. Chu Fang immediately became anxious. Junior sister Yun, what are you talking about? We aren't married yet. How could I do such a thing? We just met in private, and in the end Little Moon was captured by Island Master Chi's men. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. It was just a private meeting, why are you blushing? It made her think that the two of them had already slept together. Junior sister Yun, last time when Little Moon met me, she said that Island Master Chi wanted to arrange a marriage for her and one of her senior brothers. I was afraid that after she was captured, Island Master Chi would make the two of them get engaged in a rage. Little Moon's temper is also anxious. What if something happens? I'm really anxious to death. Chu Fang said uneasily. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes again. Senior brother Chu, are you stupid? Little Moon is Island Master Chi's beloved disciple. Even if it's a marriage, she has to send invitations to all the major sects, right? It can't be a silent marriage, right? Taking a step back, so what if they are engaged? Aren't they not married yet? Just snatch them. Chu Fang. That's right, why didn't he think of this? Yun Chujio looked at Chu Fang's silly look and shook her head. If she didn't make a move with his silly look, would he still want to marry Little Moon? In the next life. Senior brother Chu, you should go back first. After I'm done with the things in front of me, he'll bring you to the Flying Flower Island. I guarantee that Island Master Chi will agree to marry Little Moon to you. Yun Chujio yawned and said. Although Chu Fang didn't quite believe it, Yun Chujio's words made him feel more at ease. Seeing that Yun Chujio was very tired, he didn't say anything more and left. Yun Chujio shook her head and didn't take off her coat. She lay on the bed and prepared to catch up on her sleep. At this moment her dantian was in pain. Hei Shinjio quickly looked inside her dantian and saw that the black bead was jumping. Hei Shinjio was in so much pain that she broke out in a cold sweat. Glass ball, are you crazy? Calm down. The black bead continued jumping as if it had not heard her. Hei Shinjio was in so much pain that she wanted to bang her head against the wall. Black bead's dissatisfied mood was transmitted through her divine sense. Yun Chujio suddenly understood the reason why the black bead was causing such a ruckus. Did this fellow want her to look for the nameless sword sex bead now? Chapter 4640 The Demon Realm was actually here. Yun Chujio asked the black bead tentatively. You're not asking me to find some pearls for you to eat right now, are you? The black bead immediately stopped jumping when it heard that. Its meaning was obvious. Congratulations, you got it right. Hei Shinjio was so angry that she was twitching. Are you stupid? I don't even know where that damn bead is. Where am I going to get it for you? You have to wait until I kill Elder Wan before you can get it. Besides, didn't you swallow several beads in the Myriad Ghosts Cave? Why are you so greedy? The black bead emitted an intense emotion again, and it bounced up again. Although Hei Shinjio did not understand what it meant, she knew that it was angry that she did not keep her word. It's not that I don't keep my word, but you have to give me some time. It's not like it's cabbages, how can I get it for you so easily? Hei Shinjio explained. The black bead continued to hop as if it did not hear her. Hei Shinjio was in so much pain that she broke out in cold sweat. Glass ball, if you continue to show off, I will dig out my dantian. I would rather give up my cultivation. As she spoke, Yun Chujio took out a large kitchen knife and was about to cut her abdomen. After Hei Shinjio made such a scene, the Guai Chao and the Grand Illusionary Mirror that were pretending to be dead finally made their move. They pressed down on the black bead and stopped it from jumping around. Just as Hei Shinjio was about to heave a sigh of relief, a dazzling white light appeared in front of her eyes. When the guy regained his sight, he could not believe his eyes. She was actually in that cave in the demon region, and there were quite a number of spirit souls floating around. Yun Chujio immediately touched her own nose, and as expected, she touched a pig's nose. Hei Shinjio was completely dumbfounded. She pinched herself fiercely and gritted her teeth in pain. Was she not dreaming? She had actually turned into a pig demon and returned to the demon region? She looked down at her hand. There was no storage ring and spirit beast bag. Could it be that it was only her primordial spirit? While Hei Shinjio was in a daze, the black bead's smug expression came from her spiritual perception. It was as if it was saying, if you don't help me with the bead, I will turn you into a pig demon. Hei Shinjio was in a daze for a long time before she finally confirmed a fact. The black bead could bring her primordial spirit into the demon realm at any time. How did it do it? Hei Shinjio suddenly recalled the relationship between the Great Void Mirror and the Great Void Mystic Realm. Could it be that the demon realm was inside the black bead? Oh, how was this possible? However, if that was not the case, how could Dog 2 and the Big Brick be brought into the demon realm? Why could the black bead bring them into the demon realm and then bring them out? Hei Shinjio recalled that the black bead had once swallowed the chi of Hun Dun. If it did not form a universe inside its body, how could it swallow the chi of Hun Dun? And it kept swallowing those beads. Could those beads have been a part of it in the first place? Hei Xinjia's heart pounded violently. She felt that she had discovered something extraordinary. Lan Luochen had been thinking of ways to get those beads. Could it be that his ultimate goal was for the demon race? Or could it be that they did not know the secret at all and that the black bead was related to other secrets? No matter what, the fact that she had the black bead could not be known by others, especially that Qiying. However, why did the black bead fall apart back then? What did this have to do with her? If all the beads were gathered together, what would happen to the black bead? Chapter 46-41 There was a demon region in her dantian. The more Yun Chuzhou thought about it, the more frightened she became. The more she thought about it, the more complicated the matter became. Just as she was thinking about it, the black bead's provocative emotions came from her spiritual sense. Yun Chuzhou realized that after swallowing those beads, the black bead's emotions had also become much richer. So it was just a freeloader and now it was just a fucking glutton. Alright, hurry up and bring me back. I will think of a way to get you a pearl as soon as possible, said Yun Chuzhou snappily. She had no other choice now. If her primordial spirit had left her body for too long, and her body was unprotected, it would be terrible if she was killed. Seeing that Yun Chuzhou had agreed, the black pearl stopped jumping in joy. Another white light flashed. Hei Shinjio opened her eyes and realized that she was still in her bedroom. It was as if everything that happened before was an illusion. Although Yun Chuzhou was not sure that the demon realm was inside the black bead, she felt that it was not far from the truth. She did not expect that the free meal she thought was actually such an amazing existence. Oh God, oh Earth, there was a demon realm in her dantian? It was simply shocking. The guy calmed himself down and said to the black bead, "Give me 3 days. I will get the bead for you. Please calm down." The black bead probably felt that Yun Chuzhou did not dare to fool it anymore and finally calmed down. Hei Shinjio wiped the cold sweat on her head. The sleepiness had long disappeared. She thought that Di Biming should not have left Towering Sky Continent yet. Therefore she took out the voice transmission talisman and sobbed, "Idle, I'm going to be bullied to death by the black bead. I'm so miserable." A moment later, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Hei Shinjio quickly sent her spiritual sense into it. Di Biming's deep voice came from inside. "How did it bully you?" Hei Shinjio told him everything that had happened and then asked, "Prince, do you think the demon area is inside the black bead?" Di Biming replied quickly, "I had this guess before, but I didn't tell you because I was afraid that you would be too worried. You must keep this secret. Otherwise, kill Qiying to prevent him from spreading the news about the demon area. As for Aog and Chuamo, I have already told them in private that they will not mention anything about the demon territory to anyone else." Yun Chuzhou immediately pouted when she heard that. The gigolo always liked to do things behind her back. It really made people love and hate him. "I know. As for Qiying, I will stay for a while. I still want to cast a long line to catch a big fish. As for the matter regarding the demon territory, I will get the nightmare beast to brainwash Meng Yanshou and make him forget about the demon territory," Hei Shinjio said with a sinister smile. "That's fine, but you still have to keep an eye on him. The God-Fiend Palace has some secret techniques. Don't let him escape," Di Biming warned. Soon, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Hei Shinjio probed her divine sense with great expectations. There was only an okay in it. Hei Shinjio rolled her eyes speechlessly. She found that after the pretty boy returned to his body, he had become cold and aloof again. The holy sun in the demon area was still the cuter one. Hei Shinjio put away the voice transmission talisman and scanned the spiritual beast bag with her spiritual sense. The silly cuties were eating and drinking while Qiying was curled up in a corner like a bullied wife. It was as miserable as it could be. Chapter 46-42 Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. Damn it. He deserved to be punished for scheming against her and the gigolo. He would have to suffer for a long time in the future. Hei Shinjio took out the nightmare beast and asked Meng Yanshou, "Little fairy, what are your orders?" "Find some time to weave a dream to erase Qiying's memories of the monster race. If it doesn't work, try a few more times. If you succeed, it will be a great achievement for you." Meng Yanshou grinned and said, "Little fairy, don't worry. I'll take care of it. But can you change my shell? Pig, toad, rabbit. Choose one." Meng Yanshou shrunk its neck and quickly said, "That, I was just joking. Actually, it's good to be a rabbit." "Alright, you and Qiying are both rabbits now. You should keep an eye on him," Yun Chuzhou added. Meng Yanshou hurriedly nodded to show its loyalty. Yun Chuzhou then put it back into the spirit beast bag. Yun Chuzhou lay on the bed and thought about how to get the pearl of the Nameless Sword sect. She had to find out the whereabouts of the pearl first, then proceed to the next step. This fellow had slept in for a long time. The next day he only got up around noon. After eating a simple meal, he left the house leisurely. The moment he left the house, he saw the steward of the middle courtyard's miscellaneous affairs hall coming over eagerly. "Junior Sister Yun, your courtyard has been repaired. Why don't you go over and take a look?" Yun Chuzhou was stunned. "It's been repaired so quickly?" The steward said fawningly, "Isn't it because I was afraid that you would be anxious?" "Junior Sister Yun, why don't you follow me to take a look?" Yun Chuzhou nodded. To be honest, she was more used to living in her own courtyard because it was much more convenient to do things in the remote location of her courtyard. Immediately, Yun Chuzhou followed the steward to her own courtyard. How would those handymen dare to offend this ancestor? Naturally, they did their best to repair it. Yun Chuzhou was quite satisfied with it. Only then did the steward leave as if he had been relieved of a heavy burden. Yun Chuzhou swept her gaze across the courtyard. Other things were fine, but there were no swings or slides left. When she had the time, she had to make a new one. Otherwise, those drifters would probably cause a ruckus. It was strange to say that after arriving at Towering Sky Continent, the big brick had become a drifter once again. Other than occasionally entering her glabella, it was no different from before. Yun Chuzhou walked around the courtyard and went to Elder Dongfang's sword forging hall. Elder Dongfang had a very good impression of He Xingjiu now. Naturally, he was very happy to see her. The old man and the young man started chatting. He Xingjiu intentionally brought up the topic of the ghost market of Taotai and asked, "Elder Dongfang, what is the origin of the pearl that was lost in the ghost market? Why are so many people fighting for it?" Elder Dongfang did not know that the guy had ulterior motives. He lowered his voice and said, "No one knows the origin of the bead. It is just a rumor that the bead will bring disaster if it appears in the real world. But I don't think so. After all, the bead of Chaotian sect has disappeared for a long time, and there hasn't been any disaster." Elder Dongfang, I thought about it later. 2 pearls appeared and then disappeared. There might be a conspiracy behind this. So, you have to remind my master to keep an eye on the one in our sect. Don't be tricked by others. Especially watch out for that old thing Elder One. Maybe he has already colluded with others. He Xingjiu blinked and said. Chapter 46-43 was actually here. Elder Dongfang's expression changed. What you said makes sense. We should indeed remind the sect master. However, our sect's forbidden area is much more tightly guarded than Chaotian sections. There shouldn't be any problems. He Xingjiu was delighted. It seemed that her guess was correct. The Nameless Sword sect indeed had a pearl. Elder Dongfang, that might not be the case. What if Elder Wan colluded with the other party? Wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to enter the forbidden area? Alright, where is the forbidden area you mentioned? The forbidden area is right. Elder Dongfang looked at Yun Chuzhou suspiciously. Don't ask too much. I will remind the sect leader. He Xingjiu was afraid that she would arouse suspicion if she said anything more. She smiled and said, "I'm just curious." "Forget it. I won't ask any more. I don't want to have any grudges if something goes wrong." "Elder Dongfang, didn't I not learn how to infuse sword intent? Why don't you give me some pointers?" Elder Dongfang didn't doubt him and immediately instructed Yun Chuzhou to infuse sword intent. Unfortunately, this fellow didn't succeed no matter how hard he tried. After a while, he found an excuse and ran away. However, he let a wisp of the drifter stay in the Eastern Elder's courtyard. In the evening, the wisp of the drifter flew back to Yun Chuzhou's courtyard in a smug manner. Yun Chuzhou was playing on the swing. When she saw the wisp of the drifter return, she knew that she had gained something. She immediately asked, "Where is the bead hidden in the forbidden area?" The Nameless Sword sect had several forbidden areas. If she were to barge into them one by one, it would definitely not work. Therefore, she had to first determine where the bead was hidden in the forbidden area. The streak of drifter immediately gestured for Yun Chuzhou to follow her. Yun Chuzhou followed the drifter and made many turns. She did not expect that they would actually arrive near Master Ouyang's courtyard. This fellow's heart immediately turned cold. Could the entrance to the forbidden area be in old man Ouyang's courtyard? This was going to be difficult. She could use some means to sneak into other places, but old man Ouyang was not easy to fool. Moreover, she did not know the exact location of the entrance to the forbidden area. She was really worried to death. He Xingjiu sighed and returned to her own courtyard. She discussed with Black Bead Glass Ball, "No, dear little bead, do you think we can discuss?" Before He Xingjiu could finish her sentence, Black bead started to jump around. Alright, I'll help you get it. Don't bother, Hei Shinjio said in a bad mood. This guy rubbed his chin and thought hard. What should I do? It was really worrying. This guy came to Master Ouyang's place early the next morning to curry favor. In the name of helping Master Ouyang clean up, he rolled his eyes but did not notice anything. This guy used his spiritual sense to discuss with Black Bead, Little Bead, if you want to eat the bead you have to help, right? Can you tell me where the entrance to this forbidden area is? Black Bead did not show any reaction as if it was dead. Seeing how diligent Hei Shinjio was, Master Ouyang couldn't help but feel comforted. He said with a smile, alright, that's enough. Come here. I'll see if there's any progress in your swordsmanship. Hearing that, Hei Xinjia's heart moved. Master, you can't blame me for this. You're asking for it. Therefore this guy said with a smile, Master, if I accidentally hurt you, you can't be angry and you can't settle the score later. Chapter 46-44 Entrance to the Forbidden Area. Master Ouyang was so angry that he was amused. You little girl, you sure have a big mouth. Come, I want to see how you can hurt me. Yun Chujio did not say much and immediately took out an immortal sword. The current situation was special, so this fellow could not be bothered to hide it. Moreover, Master Ouyang's eyelids were not that shallow. When Master Ouyang saw the immortal sword that Yun Chujio took out, he was slightly surprised. He thought that it was given to her by Di Biming, so he didn't pay too much attention to it. The master and disciple immediately engaged in a battle. In the beginning, Hei Shinjio didn't use the sword technique that she learned from the stone wall. She only used the space-shattering sword technique of a true disciple. From time to time, there were 3 sword intents mixed in, which made Master Ouyang very satisfied. Master Ouyang felt that this little disciple of his had a good understanding of sword techniques. However, it would take a few years before she could defeat him. Just as he was thinking, he suddenly staggered. The sword technique in Yun Chujio's hand immediately changed. The angle was extremely tricky and strange. Master Ouyang couldn't dodge in time and was stabbed in the left shoulder by the sword. Hei Xinjia's face changed drastically. She immediately threw the sword on the ground and said, Master, are you okay? It's all my fault. Quick, I have the hemostasis pill here. Please eat it. Master Ouyang was obviously a little confused. He took the pill from Hei Xinjia's hand and swallowed it subconsciously. Then, he fainted. After settling Master Ouyang down, this guy started to run around in the courtyard. He even searched under Master Ouyang's bed, but he didn't find anything. This guy even suspected that the wisp of Drifter was talking nonsense. He waited until the sky was dark, but this guy still didn't find the entrance to the forbidden area. He gritted his teeth and decided to give up. She didn't believe that the Black Pearl could really kill her. At most, she would suffer a little. Just as she was about to feed Master Ouyang the antidote, the Guai Chao in her dantian shook its leaves. Yun Chujio was shocked and went under the bed again. She squinted her eyes and saw an invisible wisp of white smoke drifting in through the gap of the door. A moment later, Zhuang Hong's voice came from the door, Master, are you asleep? After asking 3 times, the door was pushed open. Zhuang Hong asked another question. Seeing that Master Ouyang didn't have any reaction, he walked to the bed. Zhuang Hong saw that Master Ouyang's eyes had lost consciousness. He snorted and took out a voice transmission talisman to send a message to someone. A moment later, another person walked in. Sir, my master has already passed out. What should we do next? Should we kill him? Zhuang Hong gritted his teeth and asked. Let him live for now. We'll talk about it after I get the things. You stay here and watch him. I'll go get the things. A man's voice said. Yes. Don't worry, master. The entrance to the forbidden area is under the well in the courtyard. Please be careful. Zhuang Hong said obsequiously. That man agreed and left the room. After that person left, Zhuang Hong looked at Master Ouyang on the bed and sneered, Old man, you have such a day. Back then when Zhongli was fine you were biased towards him. It was not easy for me to become your only disciple, and you took that damned slut as your disciple and protected her everywhere. You really deserve to die. As long as Sir finds that bead you will die. At that time I will become the new sect master of the Nameless Sword sect. As for that slut, I have 100 ways to kill her. Chapter 46-45, Bottom of the Well. Just as Zhuang Hong was in the middle of his speech, his ankle was yanked by someone and he fell to the ground with a thud. Before he could scream, a large kitchen knife was already pressed against his neck. Shut up or I'll kill you. Why are you here? Zhuang Hong widened his eyes in horror. He was too familiar with this voice. It was that bitch Yun Chujio. Hei Shinjio said sinisterly, Come, tell me what are your 100 methods? Zhuang Hong. Yun Chujio gently cut Zhuang Hong's neck with a large kitchen knife, and fresh blood oozed out. She asked coldly, who was that person just now? Zhuang Hong's eyes flickered and he said viciously, that was someone you couldn't afford to offend. Yun Chujio, let me go now and forget about the past grudges. Otherwise you're dead. Yun Chujio laughed lightly and said, I've seen stupid people before, but this is the first time I've met someone as stupid as you. Forget it, I'm too lazy to waste my breath on you. As Yun Chujio said this, she directly knocked Zhuang Hong unconscious. She was afraid that he wouldn't be completely unconscious and even stuffed a pill into his mouth. Only then did she stuff him under the bed. Yun Chujio summoned a part of the drifter from between her brows and released Buttface. She said, you stay here and guard. If anyone comes over, feed the antidote to my master. Little fairy, don't worry. Leave this place to me. Buttface said confidently. Yun Chujio nodded and handed the antidote to Buttface before leaving the house. She was sure that the person came for the black bead. In fact, she had thought of waiting inside the house or at the mouth of the well, but if it was possible to give the person a chance to escape, she decided to go down to the bottom of the well to take a look. She looked around and did not find anything unusual. Just when she was a little worried, the black bead that was pretending to be dead finally reacted. With the reminder of the black bead, Yun Chujio found the location of the enchantment and successfully entered the enchantment. In fact, this so-called forbidden area was just a tunnel dug on the wall of the well. At the end of the tunnel should be the room where the bead was hidden. Of course, there were all kinds of formations set up in the tunnel, such as illusion formation, sword light formation, and poison formation. If she didn't have some skills, it would be useless even if she found the tunnel. However, the person who came in earlier was obviously very proficient in formations. The formations on the tunnel had been completely destroyed by him, so Hei Shinjio passed through the tunnel smoothly. Hei Shinjio walked to the end of the pathway and saw a thick and heavy stone door. The stone door was not tightly closed. Hei Shinjio leaned forward and peeked through the crack of the door. Seeing the situation inside, Hei Shinjio almost laughed out loud. The person from before was facing a transparent barrier, but he was at his wit's end. Inside the barrier, there was a black bead that was flying back and forth proudly. It was obviously demonstrating its power. The man seemed to have sensed something. He turned around and shouted sternly, who is it? Hei Shinjio did not intend to hide anything. She pushed open the stone door and walked in generously. The man's pupils contracted when he saw Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. This man was wearing a mask and he obviously knew her. Could it be that he was an acquaintance? She should trick him first. Thinking of this, Hei Shinjio snorted coldly, oh, I didn't expect it to be you. You are really good at scheming. However, it's your bad luck to meet me today. Chapter 46:46 The brick came out again. The man's pupils shrank again. How did you recognize me? Yun Chujio thought to herself, of course it was a lie. However, this guy naturally would not tell the truth. He chuckled and said, a person's eyes can't deceive others. I don't have other abilities but I can still recognize people. How could the man know that Hei Shinjio was lying to him? His voice immediately changed. Since you've recognized me, there's no need to pretend anymore because you're destined to be a dead man. When Yun Chujio heard that voice, she was shocked. Was him? Wan Qingba as Elder Wan's son? Is it really good for you to do such a thing? Yun Chujio said disdainfully. Although this guy said so, he was puzzled in his heart. That was not right. Zhuang Hong had clearly called this Wan Qingba sir. Could it be that he did not know that this person was Wan Qingba? Could it be that Wan Qingba had another identity? Then, did Elder Wan know that he came to the forbidden area to take the beads? Could it be that he and Elder Wan were not in cahoots? Wan Qingba did not reply. He pulled out his treasured sword and slashed down at Hei Shinjio. Hei Shinjio was shocked. She hurriedly jumped to dodge and took out her large kitchen knife to prepare for battle. Although she could not see through Wan Qingba's cultivation level, it was obvious that he was not at the 5th level of Nirvana stage as everyone knew. He was much higher than this. The reason why Hei Shinjio was able to hurt Master Ouyang previously was firstly because of the curse of Xiao Hanyo, secondly because Master Ouyang wasn't on guard against her, and thirdly because of the sword techniques on the stone wall. The longer the night, the more dangerous it would be. If Wan Qingba had an accomplice, or if he and Elder Wan had already discussed the follow-up actions, it would be bad. She had to think of a way to end the battle quickly. Just as Hei Shinjio was about to let the dumb cuties out to help, a large brick jumped out from between her brows and slapped Wan Qingba's head. Even in his dreams, Wan Qingba did not expect that a large brick would jump out from between Yun Chujio's brows. Moreover, that large brick was not afraid of the sword intent and sword chi that he released at all. Clang. Wan Qingba was knocked unconscious by the large brick. Hey Xinjiu. She thought that the big brick would turn into those drifters when they returned to Towering Sky Continent. She did not expect it to appear again. However, she could not think about this now. He Xinjiu lifted the mask on Wan Qingba's face and saw that it was indeed Wan Qingba. This guy was afraid that Wan Qingba would use a trick to escape, so he stuffed a bunch of poison into Wan Qingba's mouth. Only then did he feel relieved. After He Xinjiu finished dealing with Wan Qingba, she looked at the transparent barrier. The bead inside looked like it couldn't wait to rush out, and it kept crashing into the barrier. He Xinjiu was even more sure of her previous guess. These beads must have been part of the black bead. Otherwise, why would it be so crazy to take the initiative to feed it? Glass beads, see? The beads you want are inside. You better think of a way to open the enchantment. Otherwise, when someone comes, you won't be able to eat them. He Xinjiu pointed at the enchantment and said to the black beads in her dantian. The black beads immediately instructed He Xinjiu to find a weak spot in the enchantment. He Xinjiu picked up the large kitchen knife and hacked at it. It was not that this fellow had not thought of using talisman seals to blow it up, but the commotion was too big. It was better to use the large kitchen knife. The large brick did not enter He Xinjiu's glabella. Instead, it watched from the side and kept showing off. It seemed like it was looking down on the large kitchen knife. Chapter 46-47, The Evil Disciple. The large kitchen knife might have felt the disdain of the large brick. The blade flashed with a red light and emitted a terrifying pressure. The enchantment instantly dissipated. He Xinjiu was so shocked by the explosion of the large kitchen knife that she opened her mouth wide. Before she could recover from her shock, the bead flew into her mouth impatiently. He Xinjiu. This guy used his spiritual perception to look inside, and the bead was long gone. It had probably been swallowed by the black bead. The black bead gave off a lazy feeling. It would probably be quiet for a while. He Xinjiu then lowered her head to look at the large kitchen knife in her hand. It looked no different from usual, as if everything that had happened before was just an illusion. Just as He Xinjiu was in a daze, the large brick once again turned into a floaty shape and drilled into He Xinjiu's glabella. He Xinjiu's heart skipped a beat. Someone must have come. She blinked her eyes, took out Chu Fang's voice transmission talisman and said a few words. Then she quickly stuffed a handful of antidote into Wan Qingba's mouth. However, when he saw Yun Chujiu slashing at him with a big kitchen knife, he subconsciously picked up the sword next to him and stabbed at He Xinjiu. Yun Chujiu dodged while shouting sternly, "Wan Qingba, as a successor disciple, why did you harm my master and break into the forbidden area? What are your intentions?" How could Wan Qingba know that this guy was digging a hole? He said coldly, "Cut the crap and go to hell." Almost as soon as Wan Qingba finished speaking, a few figures rushed in. The leader was Master Ouyang. As it turned out, as long as there was a strange movement in the underground enchantment, not only Master Ouyang, but also Elder Duanmu and the others would sense it, so they all rushed to Master Ouyang's courtyard. Buttface sensed that someone was coming. He was afraid that his life would be in danger, so he hurriedly fed the antidote to Master Ouyang. The drifters who stayed behind to protect Master Ouyang went into hiding. After Master Ouyang woke up, he was completely dumbfounded. He remembered that he was competing with his little disciple with his sword, and that little girl actually stabbed him. After he took the little girl's pill, he fainted. Just as Master Ouyang was a little dumbfounded, Buttface barked at him and dragged Zhuang Hong out from under the bed. Master Ouyang was even more dumbfounded now. At this moment, Elder Duanmu and the others came in. When Master Ouyang learned that someone had broken into the forbidden area, he immediately ignored everything else and hurriedly brought everyone down the well. Master Ouyang and the others naturally heard the conversation just now and glared at Wan Qingba. Wan Qingba knew that he wasn't a match for them and bit his finger to use a secret technique to escape. He Xinjiu clearly knew that he was trying to escape, but she didn't warn Master Ouyang and the others. She only pretended to attack with a large kitchen knife. This guy was very shrewd. As long as Wan Qingba escaped, the crime of stealing the bead could be pinned on his head. Moreover, Elder Wan still wanted to be the sect master with such a stain? Dream on. However, how did Wan Qingba know the secret technique of the Divine Devil Hall? Could it be that he was a member of the Divine Devil Hall? How could Wan Qingba know the twists and turns in He Xinjiu's mind? After he finished casting his secret technique, he disappeared. At this moment, He Xinjiu shouted, "Where is he? Damn it, I just remembered that he used the secret technique of the Divine Devil Hall. Oh my god, is he a member of the Divine Devil Hall?" Master Ouyang and the others' attention was on the bead? Oh no, the bead was stolen by Wan Qingba. Master Ouyang's head buzzed as he looked at He Xingjiu, who was shouting happily, "Evil disciple! Why did you knock me out? Are you with that one Qingba?" Chapter 46-48, I don't want to live anymore. He Xingjia's eyes widened in disbelief before she revealed a very hurt expression. "Master, you called me an evil disciple? You still said that I'm in cahoots with Wan Qingba? Sabasobi, I risked my life not to protect the sect's treasures, but you said that about me? I don't want to live anymore. I'm too sad, I'm too ashamed to face anyone." As He Xingjiu said this, she picked up the large kitchen knife and was about to commit suicide. Elder Dongfang and the others naturally wouldn't sit idly by. They hurried forward to stop her. He Xingjiu waved the large kitchen knife crazily. "Don't come any closer. If my master doesn't return my innocence today, I won't live no matter what." Elder Dongfang glanced at the dumbfounded Master Ouyang. "Master, you too. This matter hasn't been settled yet. How can you talk about little Jiu like this? No matter how thick-skinned she is, she's still a little girl, right? He Xingjiu, Elder Dongfang, do you know that you won't have any friends if you talk like this?" Master Ouyang was so angry that he was twitching. He pointed at his left shoulder and said, If she didn't have evil intentions, why would I faint? Why would she appear here?" Everyone looked at Master Ouyang's left shoulder when they heard that. Although the wound had already healed, there were still traces of blood on his clothes. However, how could Yun Chujiu hurt the sect leader? Yun Chujiu cried and said, "I don't know what happened either. When I fed you the pill, you fainted. I helped you into the house. I wanted to find someone to check on your injuries, but I fainted too." Master Ouyang asked suspiciously, "You fainted too? Then why did you appear here? And why was Zhuanghong knocked out?" Yun Chujiu pouted and said, "I can see that you are more biased towards that ingrate Zhuanghong." Before Master Ouyang could reply, Yun Chujiu continued, "When I woke up, the sky was already dark. I was about to turn on the lights to see what was going on when I heard movement outside, so I hid under the bed. In the end, I saw Zhuanghong and a masked man walking in. Zhuanghong even said that he wanted to kill you. At that time, I had already made up my mind that I would rather die than save you. However, I did not expect that the other person said that taking the bead was more important. He asked Zhuanghong to stay behind to watch over you and kill you when the bead was in his hands. After that person left, Zhuanghong cursed and said that you were biased towards Zhongli before and now you are biased towards me. You are a damn old bastard." Master Ouyang almost died from anger when he heard that. He Xingjiu did not care about him and continued, "I was too angry for a moment. I grabbed Zhuanghong's ankle and dragged him down. Then I knocked him unconscious. I was afraid that they had accomplices, so I didn't use my identity jade token to send the message. I only had Senior Brother Chu's voice transmission talisman, so I used the voice transmission talisman to inform Senior Brother Chu to help me deliver the message to Elder Gu. I was afraid that the man would slip away from the well after he succeeded, so I took the risk and followed him down. I felt that he seemed to know me, so I tricked him. I didn't expect that he would believe me and take off his mask. Only then did I know that he was Wan Qingba. You all saw what happened after that. This is what happened. If you don't believe me, you can ask Senior Brother Chu. I reckon that he and Elder Gu should already be up there." Master Ouyang was still a little suspicious. "Even if what you said is true, then why did I faint after taking your pill? Why did you wake up before me?" Chapter 46-49, Chu Fang's testimony. He Xingjiu said unhappily, "How would I know? Maybe Zhuanghong, that ingrate, drugged your bedroom before. Otherwise I wouldn't have fainted too. I'm so miserable. I risked my life to save someone, but I was falsely accused of being Wan Qingba's accomplice. Even if he has accomplices, they should be his father and his nephew." He Xingjia's words immediately reminded everyone. Only then did they look at Elder Wan, who had been standing there in a daze without saying a word. Elder Wan had obviously suffered a heavy blow and had been standing there in a daze. It was true that he wanted to usurp the position of sect master, but he definitely did not let Wan Qingba come over to steal the bead. He also did not know that his son's spiritual power was actually so high. Although when he entered he only saw Wan Qingba and Yun Chujiu exchanging a few moves, but with his eyesight he could naturally see Wan Qingba's true spiritual power. Moreover, just as Yun Chujiu had said, the secret technique that Wan Qingba used in the end to escape was clearly the secret technique of the Divine Devil Hall. How could he be related to the Divine Devil Hall? He Xingjiu looked at Elder Wan, who had suffered a heavy blow, and her heart moved. She recalled that when Elder Wan's eldest son, Wan Pengcheng's father, had died, Wan Qingba had also been present. Most importantly, Wan Pengcheng's father had also been bitten to death by a demonic beast. If this was true, it would be a tragedy in the human world. Although Hei Shinjio had a plan in her heart, she had not cleared up her enmity yet. Naturally, she could not cause any more trouble and continued to groan and seek death. Master Ouyang calmed down a little and said coldly, "Let's go up first." Hei Shinjio also knew that she could not cause too much trouble, so she followed behind the crowd in tears. Elder Dongfang and Elder Duanmu supported the dazed Elder Wan on their left and right as they went up together. As soon as the crowd showed their heads, they saw Elder Gu approach them anxiously. "Are you all right? What is going on?" When the crowd saw Elder Gu and Chu Fang behind him, they immediately believed most of Yin Chujia's words. After the crowd entered the living room, Master Ouyang asked, "Chu Fang, when did you receive Yin Chujia's message? What did she tell you?" "Sect Master, Junior Sister Yun sent me the message at the 3rd quarter of the hour. It was just that I was at the critical moment of my breakthrough, so I couldn't check the voice transmission talisman immediately. After I succeeded in my breakthrough, I went to check the voice transmission talisman. Therefore I delayed the time. Please punish me, Sect Master." Chu Fang's face was full of guilt and self-blame. At this moment, Chu Fang's heart was like a beeping dog. A quarter of an hour ago he received Hei Xinjia's voice transmission talisman. "Remember, I will inform you at 5:30 p.m. I want you to inform your master that the sect leader is in trouble. If you tell me that you have been exposed, then don't even think about marrying Little Moon." Chu Fang looked at the time. It was almost midnight. How was he supposed to round it off? Chu Fang thought about it and was so anxious that he was about to hit the wall. He suddenly remembered that he had just broken through in the afternoon, and no one else knew about this news. That was why he had this excuse. Elder Gu proved at the side, sect leader, Chu Fang's original spiritual power was at the 3rd layer of the quietness of the spirit. Now he is already at the 4th layer of the quietness of the spirit. Moreover, his condition is unstable. Obviously he has just broken through not long ago, so he should not be lying. Chapter 4650, Evidence. Master Ouyang had a good impression of Chu Fang. He had always thought that Chu Fang was an honest child, so he still believed in what he said. In addition, with Elder Gust's testimony, he was even more convinced. How could he have known that Chu Fang was no longer honest? He had been completely led by Hei Shinjio to become a drama queen. Zhuang Hong looked wronged. "Master, this has nothing to do with me. It was Yun Chujio who framed me. I have no idea what is going on." Hei Shinjio wiped her tears and said, "Master hasn't said anything yet, and you are accusing me of framing you. Aren't you being dishonest?" "Master, since he's drugged, there must still be some powder left on him. You can just search his storage ring." Zhuang Hong wasn't willing to let anyone search his storage ring. There was still that kind of incense in his storage ring. If he was found, the evidence would be irrefutable. However, it was useless even if he didn't want to. Master Ouyang had someone take off the storage ring on his hand. Ignoring his pleas, he wiped away the spiritual imprint on it. Zhuang Hong let out a miserable cry. It was obvious that his spiritual imprint had been damaged. Master Ouyang did not even look at him. He used his spiritual imprint to scan the storage ring. Very quickly he found incense and some medicinal pills. There was even a jade plate with a picture of the resurrection lily engraved on it. Master Ouyang closed his eyes and only opened them after a long while. Then he threw those things in front of Zhuang Hong and said in a somewhat hoarse voice, "What are these? Are these the things that Little Nine framed you?" Hei Shinjio curled her lips secretly. She called her Little Nine now. Didn't she call her an evil disciple before? Zhuang Hong saw that the matter had been exposed. He kneeled a few steps and said with snot and tears, "Master, I was wrong. I was bewitched by that person and did something wrong in a moment of stupidity. Please spare me." "A moment of stupidity? Don't you know that the Divine Devil Hall is everyone's public enemy? You drugged me and even tried to kill me in a moment of stupidity? Were you also in a moment of stupidity when you joined forces with others to steal the sect's precious treasures?" "Zhuang Hong, ever since Zhang Li's accident, I had high hopes for you. But what did you do?" Master Ouyang said dejectedly. He wished he could slap Zhuang Hong to death, but after thinking about how he had to tell the truth about some things, he softened his tone and said, "Sai, for the sake of master and disciple, if you tell the truth, I will give you a lighter sentence. Tell me, how did you collude with Wan Qingba? And what are your plans?" Zhuang Hong was stunned. "Wan Qingba?" Master Ouyang took a deep breath. "Don't tell me you don't know that the person who sneaked in with you is Wan Qingba?" Zhuang Hong widened his eyes in disbelief. "No, that's impossible. How could Master be Wan Qingba?" "All right, don't worry about who he is, just tell me what you know." Master Ouyang had mixed feelings in his heart. Little Nine had only met him once and she had already revealed the identity of that person. This idiot was so good that he didn't even know that the person who had been in contact with him was Wan Qingba. In order to survive, Zhuang Hong had no choice but to tell the whole story. Actually, the matter was not complicated. When Zhuang Hong saw that Master Ouyang was becoming colder and colder towards him, he had other thoughts, so he was very close to Elder Wan. However, although Elder Wan was very polite to him, he did not completely trust him. Coincidentally, at this time the person wearing the mask appeared. Chapter 4651 was a good deed. That person directly stated that he was a member of the Divine Devil Hall. He promised Zhuang Hong that as long as he could help him get the pearl, he would help Zhuang Hong get the position of the sect leader. Not only that, he also promised him a bunch of benefits. For example, when the Divine Devil Hall occupied the sky-high continent in the future, it would allow his influence to expand even further. Zhuang Hong was still a little hesitant at first, but Yun Chuji's return made him make up his mind. That was why he would cooperate with Wan Qingba. After Zhuang Hong finished speaking, he cried out bitterly, "Master, I was blinded by lard for a moment. Please spare me. I will definitely change my past and never dare to do it again." Xinjiu was shocked. Oh no, she had forgotten about this. If Zhuang Hong did not admit it, wouldn't old man Ouyang suspect her? What should she do? Just as this fellow was trembling in fear, Elder Wan, who had been in a daze, suddenly rushed over and grabbed Zhuang Hong's neck. "You're spouting nonsense. Qingba can't be from the Divine Devil Hall. It must be your slander. They'll strangle you to death." Zhuang Hong did not expect Elder Wan to suddenly go crazy. He rolled his eyes. Elder Dongfang and the rest hurried to pull Elder Wan away. By the time they pulled him away, Zhuang Hong was already dead. Xinjiu had never seen Elder Wan so pleasing to the eye. This old thing had done a good deed. However, did this old thing just happen to go crazy, or was there something else going on? Could it be that this old man had done something to old man Ouyang's food or bedroom? Xinjiu felt that the latter possibility was more likely. TSK, old man Ouyang really had to thank her properly. Otherwise he wouldn't even know how he died. Master Ouyang slammed the table. "Elder Wan, what do you mean? Why did you kill Zhuang Hong? Are you trying to silence him?" Elder Wan did not reply. He just kept muttering, "Impossible. It's all fake. Qingba can't be someone from the Divine Devil Hall. It's impossible." Yun Chujiu curled her lips. Elder Wan was muddle-headed before, and there was an 80% chance that it was true. Now he was obviously acting. However, seeing that he had helped her a great deal earlier, she did not expose him. Elder Ma, who was usually on good terms with Elder Wan, took out a calming pill and fed it to Elder Wan. Only then did Elder Wan seem to have regained his consciousness and said dejectedly, "Sect Master, my family had the misfortune of having an unfilial son. I have failed to teach him well and am willing to accept the punishment of the sect." "Elder Wan, let's not talk about Wan Qingba first. Why did you strangle Zhuang Hong just now?" Master Ouyang asked coldly. He laughed coldly in his heart. This Elder Wan was still scheming at this point. How could he get away with it just because he didn't teach him well? Elder Wan looked at Zhuang Hong's corpse blankly. He was killed by me? Why should I kill him?" Master Ouyang saw the situation and knew that he was planning to act shamelessly. However, he naturally wouldn't let him off so easily. "Elder Wan, no matter what, Wan Qingba is your son. You can't escape the blame. In order to prove your innocence, hand over your storage ring to this seat to check." Elder Wan gritted his teeth and had no choice but to take off his storage ring and take the initiative to remove the spiritual imprint on it. After Master Ouyang sent his spiritual imprint in, he saw that not only were there huge amounts of spirit stones, but there were also many good things inside. He secretly hated this old thing for plundering so many things. Chapter 4652. The collapsed Elder Wan. However, Master Ouyang swept his gaze a few times and did not find anything suspicious. He snorted coldly and returned the storage ring to Elder Wan. "Elder Wan, although there is nothing wrong with the contents of your storage ring, in order to prove your innocence, I can only temporarily keep you here and then send people to search your residence. Someone bring Wan Pengcheng here immediately and search their residence." Elder Wan did not resist because the matter was of great importance. Even his henchmen would not speak up for him publicly at this time. Soon Wan Pengcheng, who was dumbfounded, was brought over. Wan Pengcheng saw Elder Wan's dejected face and Zhuang Hong's corpse on the ground. He was very panicked. "Grandfather, what's going on? What happened?" Elder Wan patted him on the shoulder and did not say anything. Xinjiu remembered the incident with Wan Pengcheng's father. She smiled and said, Senior Brother Wan, you still don't know, right? Your uncle Wan Qingba is a member of the Divine Devil Hall. He stole our sect's most precious treasure. Wan Pengcheng retorted subconsciously, You're talking nonsense. Impossible. How could my uncle be a member of the Divine Devil Hall? Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders. If you don't believe me, ask Elder Wan. Otherwise, why do you think I brought you here? Wan Pengcheng looked at Elder Wan. Grandfather, is what she said true? Elder Wan let out a long sigh and remained silent. When Wan Pengcheng saw the situation, he immediately understood that what Yun Chujio said was true and he almost fainted. This news was like a bolt from the blue. He had originally been dreaming that Elder Wan would soon become the sect master, but who would have thought that such a thing would happen now? His uncle was actually from the Divine Devil Hall? And he stole the sect's most precious treasure? Yun Chujio said again, I told you that Wan Qingba wasn't a good person. Back then, Senior Uncle Zhang Li, no, Senior Brother Zhang Li might have been framed by him. The Divine Devil Hall has many strange medicinal powders. The medicinal powders that make demon beasts angry must have been obtained by Wan Qingba from the Divine Devil Hall. I wonder if there are still people in our sect who have been bitten to death by demon beasts. Maybe it's all done by Wan Qingba. As soon as Yun Chujio finished speaking, Elder Wan staggered and then collapsed on the ground. His eyes were lifeless and his entire body could not help but tremble. He muttered, No, impossible, this is impossible. Wan Pengcheng was shocked. Grandfather, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Everyone present looked at each other. What was going on? Weren't they all awake earlier? Why did they become demonic again? Elder Dongfang suddenly slapped his thigh. Oh my god. This can't be right. Do you guys still remember how Elder Wan's eldest son Wan Qingfeng died? Elder Gu frowned. Wasn't Wan Qingfeng killed by a demonic beast when he went out for training? I heard that there wasn't even a corpse left. Why did you suddenly think of asking this? Elder Dongfang shook his head. If I remember correctly, there were a total of 4 people when he went out on the mission. Other than Wan Qingfeng and the other 2 inner sect disciples, there was also Wan Qingba. In the end, only Wan Qingbo returned safely. Coincidentally, it was the demonic beast that went crazy again. Could it be that this was also designed by Wan Qingba? Chapter 4653 was even worse than me. When everyone heard Elder Dongfang's words, they couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Heavens, it's really possible that you said that. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental that every time the demonic beast would go crazy, and only Wan Qingba would come back? Speaking of which, Wan Qingfeng's aptitude is stronger than Wan Qingba's, and he's even more highly regarded by Elder Wan. Could it be that Wan Qingfeng was jealous of his brother's aptitude so he harmed his brother? Tiske, it's not that my words are unpleasant, but when Wan Qingfeng was still around, Wan Pengcheng's personality wasn't as perverse as it is now. But ever since Wan Qingfeng died, Wan Qingba has been indulging him. Perhaps he intentionally wanted to raise him to be crippled. Wan Pengcheng looked at Elder Wan, who was already in a daze. When he heard the discussions of the crowd, his eyelids rolled and he immediately fainted. Everyone fed him pills and called out to him. Wan Pengcheng woke up and Elder Wan also regained his consciousness. However, he had aged a lot in an instant. He knew more details than the others. Therefore, when Yun Chujio said those words, he had already thought of this point. No matter how scheming he was, he could not withstand such a huge blow. It was not just Wan Qingfeng's matter. Although Elder Wan was interested in the position of sect leader, he had not reached the point where he had to replace it. However, in the past few years, Wan Qingba had been fanning the flames. He had only begun to expand his power rapidly. He had even tampered with Master Ouyang's residence. He did not expect that the reason why Wan Qingba urged him so much was to make it easier for him to steal the bead. How was he raising his son? He was clearly an ingrate. Elder Wan stood up and did not say anything. He staggered away and did not even bother with Wan Pengcheng. When Wan Pengcheng saw Elder Wan, he quickly chased after him. Everyone sighed. No one could withstand such a blow. Elder Wan was afraid that he would not be able to recover from it. As everyone shook their heads and sighed, they heard Yun Chujio sobbing. Elder Wan is so miserable. Woo, he is even more miserable than me. I was only scolded by my own master as an evil disciple, but I was wronged as Wan Qingba's accomplice. It doesn't seem to be a big deal, but why is my heart about to break? Woo. The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched. Naturally, he understood that He Xinjia's words were meant for him to hear. He had no choice but to bite the bullet and say, Little Jiu, your master has wronged you. You've made a great contribution this time. Your master will reward you properly. Hei Xinjiu wiped her tears with her hand while sobbing. Master, what are you saying? I'm protecting you, protecting the sect's treasures. Is it for the reward? When Sect Master Ouyang and the others heard this, they exclaimed, "Io, why is this little girl suddenly so enlightened? She wasn't greedy for money anymore?" However, they heard Hei Xinjiu continue, "However, since you insist on giving it to me, you'll take it. Well, Master, you don't have to give me more. Just give me 10 or 8 immortal artifacts." They thought too much. This girl was still the same person. On one hand, they had to quickly inform the other sections. Firstly, they had to help capture Wan Qingba. Secondly, they had to be on guard so that their pearls would not be stolen by the Divine Devil Hall. On the other hand, they had to investigate the sect disciples so that there were no more accomplices of Wan Qingba in the sect. Chapter 46-54. One arrow. Several carvings. After the discussion, they left one after another, leaving only Master Ouyang and Yun Chujio. Hei Xinjiu knelt on the ground with a thud. "Master, I was wrong." Master Ouyang was startled and almost jumped up from his chair. The first thought that flashed through his mind was, what kind of evil scheme is this little girl playing? Master Ouyang calmed himself down and said, What did you do wrong?" "Master, I shouldn't have taken the risk to enter the well. I should have stayed in the house to protect you. On one hand, I wanted to prevent that person from stealing the bead. On the other hand, I was very curious about the bead and wanted to take a look at it." This fellow was very shrewd. Although her lie was considered perfect, it was inevitable that Master Ouyang would become suspicious in the future. Moreover, she had previously asked Elder Dongfang about the situation of the bead. It would not be good if Master Ouyang found out about it one day. Since that was the case, she might as well admit that she was curious about the bead. This way she could prevent future trouble. Master Ouyang nodded when he heard that. He knew that Yun Chujio was a temperamental person, and she was greedy for money. It was normal for her to be curious about the bead. Moreover, the situation was urgent at that time. She was still young, so it was normal for her to be careless for a moment. Moreover, didn't she leave a dog to protect him? Forget it, you were also protecting the sect's precious treasure. Moreover, you also informed Chu Fang at that time. It was just a coincidence that he broke through and delayed the time. I don't blame you. Get up. Hei Xinjiu finally broke into a smile. "I knew that you doted on me the most. Master, I'm your only precious disciple now. If you have anything good in the future, you must think of your precious disciple." Master Ouyang was so angry that he was amused. The last bit of doubt in his heart vanished into thin air. The master and disciple chatted for a while more. Hei Xinjiu slapped her thigh. "Master, I almost forgot something. Elder Wan couldn't wait to strangle Zhuang Hong to death. Maybe he did something to your food or your house. Please ask someone who is proficient in medicine to take a look at you." Master Ouyang was shocked. He felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense. He quickly dismissed Hei Xinjiu and looked for the elders in the sect who were proficient in medicine to treat her. Hei Xinjiu strolled back to her courtyard and laughed out loud under her blanket. "Ah, perfect. This guy took a nap." After waking up, he felt refreshed and refreshed. It was simply beautiful. This time, it could be said that he had killed several birds with one stone. The first harvest was naturally getting the bead, the second harvest was getting rid of Zhuang Hong, and the third harvest was defeating Elder Wan. The last two were completely unexpected joys. Once Zhuang Hong died, she would become the one and only disciple of the sect master. In the future, she would be able to do whatever she wanted in the sect. Elder Wan had suffered a great change. Master Ouyang would definitely take the opportunity to dismantle his power. Even if he were to recover in the future, he would not be able to achieve anything. The more Hei Xinjiu thought about it, the more beautiful she became. She crossed her legs and hummed a little tune as she basked in the sun. Just as she was enjoying herself, someone knocked on the door. Chu Fang's anxious voice was heard from outside. "Junior Sister Yun, Junior Sister Yun, Junior Sister Yun." Hei Xinjiu opened the door impatiently. "Senior Brother Chu, are you calling for Hun?" Chu Fang cried. "Junior Sister Yun, it's bad. Little Moon is getting engaged." Chapter 46-55. She was not as evil as Yin Chujio rolled her eyes. "If you want to get engaged, you haven't gotten engaged yet. Besides, it's not like you're getting married. Why are you so anxious?" Chu Fang. Chu Fang followed Yin Chujio into the courtyard like a bullied wife. He said anxiously, "Junior Sister Yun, don't joke around. I'm dying of anxiety. I took a risk to help you previously. You can't just ignore me." Yun Chujio glared at him fiercely. "What did you help me with? Are you stupid? If you mention this matter again in the future, he'll kill you to silence you. Chu Fang was so frightened that he shrunk his neck. How did he realize that junior sister little Jiu had become even more ferocious after coming back this time? No, junior sister Yun, I am talking nonsense. As long as you help me this time, senior brother's life will be yours in the future. Yun Chujio glanced at him. I didn't say that I wouldn't help. Alright, how did you know that Little Moon was going to get engaged? Little Moon must be having a hard time now. She isn't like you who has a stomach full of evil thoughts. She only knows how to fight with Island Master Qi. She must have been locked up by Island Master Qi. Chu Fang sighed. Yin Chujio? Who said that she had a belly full of bad ideas. She was obviously a good girl with a good heart. She didn't know what bad ideas were at all. However, He Xinjiu saw that Chu Fang was in a daze, so she didn't argue with him. She comforted him, Senior brother Chu, don't worry. This matter isn't necessarily a bad thing. Chu Fang was about to cry. This was not a bad thing. It was simply a bolt from the blue for him, okay? Senior brother Chu, as the saying goes, a blessing in disguise. Let's think of a way to turn this engagement banquet into your and Little Moon's engagement banquet. Do you think this is a good thing? Chu Fang's face was confused. What the hell? Turn it into his and Little Moon's engagement banquet. Junior sister Yun was talking in her sleep because she lacked sleep last night, right? Junior sister Yun, don't tease me. As long as you can cancel this engagement party, I will be so grateful, Chu Fang said with a wry smile. Yun Chujio curled her lips. So, you don't want to be engaged to Little Moon? Chu Fang sighed. Of course I do. But you know that Island Master Qi doesn't like me. He wants Little Moon to marry a disciple of the Flying Flower Island. How could he agree to let me be engaged to Little Moon? He Xinjiu picked up a spiritual fruit and took a few bites. Then she said, isn't that easy? When the time comes, we'll have to beat the disciple who wants to get engaged unconscious. Why don't you go up instead? The corner of Chu Fang's mouth twitched. Are you kidding me? If he really dared to do that, Island Master Qi would kill him, not to mention getting him and Little Moon engaged. Senior brother Chu, do you dare to believe me? If you dare, I promise to turn this engagement party into an engagement party between you and Little Moon, He Xinjiu said while blinking her eyes. Seeing that Yun Chujio didn't look like she was joking, Chu Fang immediately asked excitedly, Junior sister Yun, are you telling the truth? If it's true, I, of course, believe you. What do you want to do? It's good that you believe me. I haven't thought about what to do. But first, you have to think of a way to get your master to bring you to the engagement party. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said. Chapter 4656 was a compliment, Chu Fang said with some difficulty. Well, my master doesn't agree with me and Little Moon, so he definitely won't take me there. Yun Chujio spread out her hands. Then I don't care. Anyway, I have already pointed out a bright path for you. If you don't leave, you can't blame me. Chu Fang thought hard for a while and said, or I will kneel down to my master. If he doesn't agree, he won't get up. Yun Chujio, you came up with such a bad idea after thinking for a long time? He Xinjiu saw Chu Fang sweating in anxiety and sighed, alright, I'll give you some advice. Just tell Elder Gu that Little Moon is your inner demon. If you see her getting engaged with your own eyes, you'll have completely given up on her. Otherwise, you'll definitely go crazy in the future. Elder Gu will definitely agree with what you said. Chu Fang looked at He Xinjiu with admiration and said excitedly, Junior sister Yun, you are really amazing. You have a bad idea with just a blink of an eye. I'm going to find my master first. He Xinjiu looked at him speechlessly. Senior brother Chu, do you know that you won't have any friends if you talk like this? I really don't understand why Little Moon has taken a fancy to you. Chu Fang chuckled. Junior sister Yun, aren't we treating each other like strangers? Moreover, I sincerely admire you. I say that you are a bad person and have bad ideas. These are all positive words. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. It turned out that Chu Fang and Buttface were bosom friends. Chu Fang said a few more words and then hurried to find Elder Chu. Yun Chujio shook her head. She picked up the fruit and had just taken a few bites when she heard Buttface say, Little fairy, little shadow has woken up. He is clamoring to see you. Yun Chujio felt that it was about time. If she still did not go along with him, Qiying would probably go crazy, so she let out the red shadow rabbit. Qiying had been living a life worse than death for the past 2 days. Although Qiying was not a world-shaking figure, he should not have been reduced to a smelly girl's spiritual pet, right? He was a human. A human, all right. Yun Chujio, what did you do to me? Why did I become your spiritual pet? Qiying gritted his teeth and asked. Yun Chujio spread her hands. Little shadow, you have wronged me. I didn't do anything. Besides, you are not my spiritual pet. Why don't we establish a contract now? Don't even think about it. Qiying immediately jumped several feet away. Perhaps he was too afraid, but he actually jumped on 4 legs at the same time. Seeing Qiying's funny look, Yun Chujio laughed so hard that she fell back and forth. Little shadow, congratulations. You've finally learned how to jump on 4 legs. Hei Shinjio finally managed to hold back her laughter and said seriously, Little shadow, you've really misunderstood me. I didn't mean to not find a human body for you. The main thing is that the sect is now strictly investigating the people of the Divine Devil Hall. If you possess another disciple, it's inevitable that you'll be discovered. Don't worry. When the wind blows over, he'll definitely find a good body for you and let you become a human again. Qiying looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Is what you said true? Of course it's true. It's more true than a pearl. We are in a cooperative relationship. If you continue to be a rabbit, won't I suffer a great loss? Yun Chujio said matter-of-factly. Although Qiying didn't really believe Yun Chujio's words, he didn't dare to be too forceful because he had been beaten up badly by Buttface and the others in the past 2 days. Chapter 46-57, The news from Qiying. Hei Shinjio blinked her eyes. Little shadow, do you prefer to stay outside or play with my spiritual pets? Qiying was so angry that he was twitching. Play. He would be beaten up one-sidedly, alright? If he had known that he would be so miserable in the hands of this wretched girl, he would have chosen to die at that time. As for why Qiying did not seek death now, the reason he gave himself was that he had already suffered so much. He had to think of a way to obtain some useful information so that his suffering would not be in vain. Qiying resisted the urge to slap Yun Chujio to death with his claws and said, I'd better stay outside. However, I think it's better to keep you in the spirit beast bag. Why do you think our thoughts are exactly the opposite? Hei Shinjio said with a smile. Qiying almost fainted from anger. This stinky girl must have done it on purpose. Little shadow, how about this? If you can provide me with information about the Divine Devil Hall, he'll leave you outside. Otherwise he'll keep you in the spirit beast pouch. After all, Buttface and the others like you very much, Yun Chujio said sinisterly. Qiying couldn't believe his ears. This stinky girl was too mean. She was blatantly threatening him. Shameless. Qiying's rabbit-like body trembled when he thought of the gang fight in the spirit beast pouch. He thought to himself that he could use this opportunity to sow discord between her and Di Biming. Hence he said, Alright, then I'll tell you a piece of news. Our master is very resourceful. There are people from our Divine Devil Hall on every continent. If you know what's good for you, you can cooperate with me. We can kill Di Biming together and it will be a great achievement. Before Qiying could finish his words, he was sent flying by Hei Xinjia's kick. He fell to the ground with a thud and almost broke 2 of his teeth. Little shadow, is this a piece of news? I think you really want to return to the spirit beast bag. As Yun Chujio was about to put Qiying into the spirit beast pouch, Qiying said with difficulty, Wait, let me tell you something else. I heard that our master has specially groomed a woman to suppress Di Biming. She said that she had some entanglement with Di Biming in her previous life. I heard that they were even a pair of lovers. It's just that she hasn't recovered her memory yet. After Qiying finished speaking, his pair of red eyes stole a glance at Yun Chujio. He thought that Yun Chujio would definitely be shocked when she heard this news. She would go crazy from jealousy and even develop hatred because of love. However, he was disappointed. Yun Chujio still had a casual smile on her face as she looked at him with a smile. Are you done? I got it, Yun Chujio said lightly. Qiying was dumbfounded. That was it. What did she mean by that? He asked unwillingly. Aren't you angry? Don't you want to know about the entanglement between that woman and Di Biming? Yun Chujio curled her lips. Little shadow, do you know that when you lie, your rabbit ears will stand up? Qiying subconsciously lowered his long ears. At the same time, he also knew that he had been tricked. Damn it, this stupid girl was too smart. It was simply impossible to guard against her. Qiying said exasperatedly, what I said is not all lies. You will know when the time comes. There will be tears for you. When Di Biming meets his old lover, he will definitely abandon you. Otherwise, why wouldn't he always accompany you? He's simply toying with you. Chapter 46-58 One-Eared Rabbit. After hearing Qiying's words, Yun Chujio did not get angry. Instead, she started to laugh. Qiying was laughing until his hair stood on end. You, what are you laughing at? Yun Chujo stopped laughing and said, Little Shadow, I am laughing at how pitiful you are. You don't know what feelings are, or rather, you don't have any feelings at all. You kept saying that you liked Chuemo, but in the end you still chose to follow me to Towering Sky Continent. It shows that your feelings for her are so fragile that they're not even as weak as tofu. Qiying saw that Yun Chujo mentioned Chuemo, and his rabbit-like eyes immediately turned red. You're spouting nonsense. This is because Chuemo rejected me. I don't want to not be able to be friends, so I followed you here. Yun Chujo pouted. Tsk. What a nice way of saying it. Why did Aog stay? Stop quibbling. You only have your lord in your heart. I seriously suspect that the person you really like is your shitty lord. Qiying was so angry that he almost fainted. He pointed at Yun Chujo with his trembling front claws and said, You're shameless. How could a lady like you say such things? You're shameless. Yun Chujo shrugged her shoulders indifferently. Face is worthless to me. So, in the future you better be smart or I will change you into a female rabbit's body. Qiying kicked his leg and fainted. Yun Chujo curled her lips. You fainted just like that? Your mental endurance is too weak. After Yun Chujo said that, she took out a basin of ice water from her storage ring and splashed it on Qiying. Qiying was jolted awake by the ice. Qiying only had one thought at the moment. He wanted to die. For the first time he felt that it was too difficult to live. Just as he was about to self-destruct, he heard Hei Shinjo say faintly, Don't think that everything will be over with just your death. If you die, I will tell the people of the Divine Devil Hall what you told me. That dog-shit owner of yours likes men and has a bunch of male pets by his side. Among them, you are one of them. Qiying was so angry that he was beyond angry. He pounced on Yun Chujo, intending to perish together with her. Unfortunately, the rabbit that he possessed was no match for Hei Shinjo. Not to mention killing Hei Shinjo, he was sent flying without even touching his clothes. Qiying was so humiliated that he turned into anger. He roared, Yun Chujo, I get it. You tortured me like this because I hit your sore spot. You were afraid that Beiming would change his heart. You said that you didn't care, but in fact you already believed it. Haha, you poured your heart and soul out for Beiming, but in the future he will abandon you for that old lover. You are simply a pitiful worm. Yun Chujo walked to his side, took out a large kitchen knife and cut off one of his rabbit ears. Then she said with a smile, Little Shadow, you may have made a mistake. Whether the gigolo and I were enemies in his previous life or he had other little lovers, those are all matters of his previous life. It has nothing to do with me. Also, I'll make a bet with you. Even if he had someone he liked in his previous life, that person would definitely be my previous life. That's because he would never fall in love with another woman other than me. So, don't embarrass yourself in front of me with that clumsy trick of yours in the future. The freshly cooked one-eared rabbit's face was filled with shock and defeat. Did this wretched girl really believe that Beiming? Chapter 4659 Earning some betrothal gifts. Qiying was stunned for a moment, then he snorted coldly, Don't be so full of yourself. People change. Beiming likes you in this life, but it doesn't mean that he likes you in his previous life. Yun Chujo threw him a bottle of pills to stop the bleeding and said with a chuckle, I can't help it. I believe in him as if I believe in myself, so don't play tricks in front of me. I remember you once said that if the ghost ancestor hadn't met with an accident, the Lord wouldn't have reincarnated. From this, it can be seen that he and I were definitely a pair of lovers in our previous life. Sheng Zun said, What do you know? Back then you too. Qiying stopped talking and only snorted coldly. Yun Chujo didn't ask further. Instead, she said, I still have to thank you for telling me that your dog-shit owner has a woman by his side. Actually, even if you didn't tell me, I would know. Isn't it that Su Yenran? Speaking of which, that little bitch hasn't shown her face for a long time. I really miss her a little. Qiying did not utter a word. He cursed inwardly. Pervert. You are a pervert. Yun Chujo did not continue to teach Qiying a lesson. Instead, she sat on the chair and hummed a little tune as she pondered over the matter between Chu Fong and Xiaoyu. Island Master Qi, that stubborn old fogey, was indeed a little difficult to deal with. He had to think of a way to win by surprise. Qiying was secretly delighted when he saw Yun Chujio's troubled look. He had thought that Yun Chujio really did not care as she had said, but it turned out to be a lie. As long as he continued to work hard in the future, he would definitely be able to drive a wedge between her and Beiming. When that time came, he would have made a great contribution. As for what love was, he did not care. After a while, Chu Fong ran back excitedly. Junior sister Yun, Master has agreed to bring me to the Flying Flower Island. Have you gone to talk to the sect leader? Yun Chujio looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. Senior brother Chu, I am now my master's only precious disciple. Can he not bring me along? There are still about 10 days before the departure. Don't be idle. Let's do some small business and earn some betrothal gifts for you. You can't go to propose marriage empty-handed, right? Junior sister Yun, it's so short and you can't earn much money. I think it's better to forget it. I still have some savings, Chu Fong said. Forget it? Island Master Chi is even more greedy than me. How can he take a fancy to your little money? Don't worry. As long as you do as I say, I guarantee that you will earn a lot of money. Hei Xinjiu felt that her heart was broken. Why did she feel like an old mother helping her foolish son to marry a wife? Chu Fong thought of Island Master Chi and could not help but frown. Alright, junior sister Yun, I'll listen to you. What kind of business do you want me to do? Let's hold an auction in the sect. The auction item is to have a meal with me. Hei Xinjiu said with a smile. Chu Fong, junior sister Yun, wake up. The sun has already risen so high, are you still dreaming? Chu Fong had the intention to refuse, but when he thought of Xiao Yu and Yun Chujia's previous glorious deeds, he forced himself to agree. The next day the Nameless Sword sect exploded. Senior brother Li, have you heard about that matter? Of course I've heard about it. Even the odd job workers in the kitchen know about it now. How could I not know? Who would spend at least 100,000 high-grade spirit stones in exchange for a chance to have a meal with that Yun Chujio? That Yun Chujio and Chu Fong are most likely crazy from poverty. Chapter 4660. Profiteering merchant Chu Fong received a lot of ridicule and rolled his eyes. He came to see Yun Chujio dejectedly. Junior sister Yun, I told you that this move of yours wouldn't work. Now both of us have become the laughingstock of the Nameless Sword sect. Yun Chujio took out a pen and paper and said to him, I said write it, come. Chu Fong didn't understand what she meant, but he still started writing according to Yun Chujio's instructions. Auction notice for the Little Nine banquet. Do you want to know how a genius of a generation was trained? Do you want to know the secret to breaking through the 10th level in one night? Do you want to know how to jump from a handyman to a successor disciple of the sect leader? All the answers would be revealed at the Little Nine banquet one by one. As hosting the banquet was too exhausting, only 50 people were allowed to attend this time. The highest bidder would get it. It was a once-in-lifetime opportunity. If you didn't come, it would be your loss for the rest of your life. If you didn't come, it would be a regret that you would never be able to make up for. After Chu Fong finished writing, he was dumbfounded. This junior sister Yun was too good at deceiving people. Chu Fong thought that the more money he earned, the more he would be able to move Island Master Chi, so he said, Junior sister Yun, isn't 50 people too little? Why don't we write 100 people? Wrong. The fewer people there are, the more precious the qualifications are. Only then will they spare no effort to raise the price, Yun Chujio said sinisterly. Junior sister Yun, what are you going to say at little Jio's banquet? You'll know when the time comes, Yun Chujio said mysteriously. Chu Fong shook his head and went to paste the notice. Seeing the notice this time, some people were a little tempted. Not to mention other things, that Yun Chujio had broken through 10 layers in one night. If they could learn the secret of this, it would be worth it no matter how many spirit stones they spent. Seeing that everyone's reaction was better than before, Chu Fong was slightly relieved. However, would there really be an auction at that time? Soon it was the day of the auction. The scene could be described as a sea of people. Almost 90% of the Nameless Sword sect's disciples had arrived. Chu Fong braced himself and went up to the high platform and said, the first round of the Little Nine banquet's qualification auction will now begin. The first person to attend the banquet will now begin the auction. The starting price is 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. After Chu Fong finished speaking, the people below were discussing animatedly, but none of them were bidding. Chu Fong couldn't help but secretly groan bitterly. He had said that this method wouldn't work, so how could he end things now? I bid 150,000. Junior sister Yun has mastered 3 types of sword intent. If I'm lucky enough to gain enlightenment of sword intent, let alone 150,000, even 5 million would be worth it. 180,000. I must get it today. No matter what, I must get this opportunity. As soon as someone took the lead, others immediately began to raise their bids. The bidding price also began to soar rapidly to 1 million. Chu Fong was dumbfounded. Oh God, are these people crazy? When the price soared to 5 million. No one raised their bids anymore. They thought that since there were still 49 spots left at worst, they could just bid for the next round. Thus Chu Feng landed the gavel. The first person to attend the banquet has been selected. Congratulations, senior brother. Now the second person to attend the banquet will begin the bidding. Chu Feng originally thought that the bidding price would be lower as time went on. Who would have thought that the atmosphere would be heated up? The people were already hot-blooded. They were afraid that they would not be able to get it, so the price soared all the way. The final spot even soared to 3.5 million upper-grade spirit stones. Chu Feng floated all the way back to Yun Chujia's courtyard. He simply felt that everything was a dream. Yun Chujio glanced at him and said faintly, "Remember to pay Zhao Hui 50,000 spirit stones. This is the money I hired my child. Otherwise, where do you think the first few idiots came from?" Chu Feng, profiteer. A blatant profiteer. Chapter 4661. Don't go home until you're drunk. Chu Feng finally realized what had happened. He had said that the few people who had been the loudest in the beginning had kept quiet in the end. It turned out that it was junior sister Yun who had found a scapegoat. It wasn't that he was too naive, it was just that junior sister Yun's tricks were too deep. While Chu Feng was feeling emotional, he was also a little worried. Junior sister Yun, these people have spent a lot of money. If you can't satisfy them by then, I'm afraid you won't be able to be kind. Yun Chujio crossed her legs and said carelessly, "Don't worry. The money has already entered my pocket. If they want to go back, there's no way." Chu Feng, that wasn't what he meant, alright? Forget it. Junior sister Yun was full of bad ideas anyway. She might have already thought of a countermeasure. The next day it was the day of Little Nine's banquet. The venue of the banquet was set in He Xinjia's courtyard. The hearts of the 50 people who were qualified to attend the banquet were beating fast. The atmosphere at that time was too intense. They had participated in the auction on a whim. When they calmed down, they regretted it. Although that Yun Chujio said it in a flowery manner, she had a heavenly thunder spirit root. Naturally, she was different from them. Their money would probably go down the drain. When they saw the dishes on the table, they were so angry that their noses were crooked. Other than a pot of wine, there was only a large pot of stir-fried cabbage on the table. There was nothing else. This was called a banquet? What kind of joke was this? Chu Feng saw everyone's angry gazes and secretly lamented. "Junior sister Yun, oh junior sister Yun, you are too stingy. You are in charge of the 3 courtyards kitchen, so why did you get stir-fried cabbage?" Just as Chu Feng was at a loss, He Xinjio strolled out of the house. She nodded at everyone. She was just like a wolf with a big tail. Everyone forcefully suppressed their dissatisfaction and prepared to see what Yun Chujio would do next. After all, they were not here to eat but to clear their doubts. Yun Chujio strolled to the front and poured herself a cup of wine. Then she raised it and said, "Everyone, thank you for coming to Little Jio's banquet. This glass is my toast to everyone. Let me drink to you first." They thought that after drinking this glass of wine, Yun Chujio would be able to get to the main topic. Who would have thought that she would continue to say, "Come, let us raise our cups together. We wish our nameless sword sect to become better and better, and become the #1 sect in Towering Sky Continent as soon as possible." Since they had already put down the big hat, they could not refuse, so they drank another cup. "Come, let us raise our cups together again. We wish my master to live a long and boundless life, and to live a younger and younger life." When the crowd heard this, they could only raise their cups again. The 4th glass wishes everyone to break through their shackles as soon as possible and achieve what they desire. Everyone was persuaded by He Xinjio one glass after another. However, every time He Xinjio proposed, they had no way to refuse. Soon their eyes became a little blurred. They had probably forgotten the purpose of their visit. Chu Feng watched from the side. He wondered if junior sister Yun was trying to get these people drunk? If that was the case, junior sister Yun wouldn't be beaten to death after these people sobered up, right? Everyone, let's enjoy life to the fullest. Don't let the golden jar be empty against the moon. Today let's get drunk until we return. Senior brother Chu, come over and help us entertain ourselves with a sword dance. Chu Feng. Just as Chu Feng was hesitating, Yun Chujio glared at him. Chu Feng thought of his marriage and had no choice but to brace himself and walk forward to begin the sword dance. Chapter 4662. Do you want to go to heaven? Yun Chujio pointed at a disciple and said, "Senior brother, tell me, what troubles do you have? Let me help you solve your doubts." The disciple drank the wine in the cup in one gulp and said, I reached the 6th level of Lingwu 3 years ago, but I haven't been able to break through until now. I suspect that I can only stop at the 6th level of Lingwu for the rest of my life. Yun Chujio nodded, then sighed and said, Senior brother, you are really right. It is impossible for you to break through in your life. You should give up. Chu Fong, who was dancing with his sword, staggered. Junior sister Yun, are you going to the sky? If you speak like this, that person might flip over the table and beat you up. Unexpectedly, when that person heard Yun Chujio's words, he was first stunned, then burst into tears. Yun Chujio ignored him and pointed at another person. Senior brother, what are you unhappy about? That person laughed bitterly. I haven't been able to comprehend a sword intent until now. I go to the waterfall at the back of the mountain every day to practice, trying to comprehend the fast sword intent, but I haven't gained anything. Senior brother, it's not that my words are unpleasant, but with your comprehension ability, don't waste your time to comprehend sword intent in the future. You will never succeed in comprehending it in your lifetime, Yun Chujio said with certainty. When that person heard that, he started to drink dejectedly and didn't say anything else. After that, after everyone voiced out their worries, they were all dealt a blow by He Xinjiu. They either wailed loudly or drank quietly. Chu Fong put away the treasured sword in his hand, and his heart was like a muttering dog. Junior sister Yun, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to become the public enemy of the sect? Due to the high profile and weirdness of Little Jio's banquet, many people were watching the entrance of He Xinjia's courtyard curiously. However, when He Xinjiu had opened the isolation array, they couldn't see anything. At this moment, He Xinjiu had opened the isolation array. The people outside the courtyard craned their necks to take a look. They saw that the people who were attending the banquet were all wailing like ghosts, as if they had suffered a huge blow. Oh God, what did this Yun Chujio do? Yun Chujio said to the crowd with a smile, did you all see that? After listening to my advice, they were all enlightened and cried in excitement. Chu Fong, you're lying through your teeth. Doesn't your conscience hurt? The onlookers believed it and felt somewhat regretful. If they had known earlier, they would have gone bankrupt to bid for a qualification. At this time, Yun Chujio opened the isolation array again, blocking the sight of those people. Chu Fong came to Yun Chujio's side and said nervously, Junior sister Yun, how can this end? When they sober up, they will definitely not let this go. Chu Fong could only stare at the people attending the banquet bitterly. He comforted himself. This was all for the betrothal gift of the little moon. It was worth it to stay up late. However, he was really worried that these people would not let him off the hook the next morning when they were sober. No matter who spent a large sum of money, they would not let it go even after they had gotten drunk. The more Chu Fong thought about it, the more he felt a headache. He sighed. If it really did not work out, he could only take a beating on behalf of Yun Chujio. After all, junior sister Yun was doing this for him. Under Chu Fang's worries and anxiousness, the sun had risen. The drunk people woke up one by one. First, they looked around in confusion. Then they glared at Chu Fong. Chu Fong, where is Yun Chujio? Do you think we are fools? Chapter 4663, Honest and unscrupulous businessman Chu Fang's heart skipped a beat. He knew it would be like this. Junior sister Yun, oh junior sister Yun, what should we do now? Everyone listened to my explanation. Before Chu Fang could say anything, he was interrupted angrily by the crowd. Explanation? Explain what? Damn it, I spent 2 million high-grade spirit stones, and you let me drink a few cups of wine and eat a few pieces of broken cabbage? You're trying to trick us. Pay up. If you don't pay up, well, go to the sect leader and reason with him. Right, you have to give us an explanation today or else we won't let it go. Chu Fang was anxious. At this time, Yun Chujio walked out of the room yawning and said lazily, what are you arguing about? I've already told you all my experience yesterday. What else do you want? Those people were stunned. You're talking nonsense. How come we don't remember what you said? Yun Chujio snorted coldly. Are you shameless? How can you eat, drink, and listen to me but now you don't admit it? Yesterday I taught you everything I've learned over the years. You all listened to me like you were intoxicated and some of you even cried in excitement. If you don't believe me, you can go out and ask the onlookers later. They all saw your performance at that time. You guys really let me down. Get out, all of you, get out. Take it as if I fed the food and wine I learned last night to the dogs. Those people were dumbfounded by He Xinjia's scolding. Could it be that they were drunk and could not remember? At this moment, Yun Chujio removed the isolation array. Many people had gathered outside the door to watch the show. Some of them stretched their necks and shouted, Senior Brother Lu, You were crying like that yesterday. What kind of experience did you have? Old Duan, you were so emotional with snot and tears yesterday. What exactly happened? At this moment, Yun Chujio snorted and said, all of you can go back. Although the doubts in your hearts have been solved, you still need to cultivate diligently to succeed. In less than half a year you will definitely gain something. When those people heard Yun Chujio's words, they could only leave doubtfully. Those people who were watching the show also dispersed one after another. In their hearts, they calculated that if these people were effective within half a year, they would participate in Little Nine's banquet no matter what. When Chu Fang saw that everyone had left, he had a conflicted look on his face. Junior sister Yun, isn't it a little bad for us to do this? Yun Chujio glanced at him. What's bad about it? Isn't this a lie? You just got them drunk and yet you've already taken so much money from them. If they don't gain anything within half a year, they will definitely come to settle the score with us. Yun Chujio looked at Chu Fang as if she was looking at an idiot. Are you stupid? Even if a fool cultivates for half a year, they won't gain anything at all. How can they not gain anything at all? Chu Fang, too cunning. Besides, my wine is not an ordinary wine. It has been added with medicinal herbs to cleanse the marrow and bone. In addition, they had a big cry yesterday. The knot in their hearts has dissipated a little. I believe it will be effective, Yun Chujio said with a light smile. Although she was full of bad ideas, she still had a bottom line. She was an honest and unscrupulous profiteer. Chapter 46-64. Demon Skybell and Wooden Fish. Chu Fang's jaw dropped in shock. It was actually like this? Yun Chujio ignored the dumbstruck Chu Fang and began to eat her breakfast. Chu Fang came back to his senses and sat opposite her as he began to eat his breakfast. Junior sister Yun, I really admire you. Yun Chujio curled her lips and didn't say anything. She was the female emperor of Zephyr, the grand ghost ancestor. What was this little trick? Thinking of this fellow felt that it was hard to explain. She clearly had so many awesome identities, but now she could only be a shrimp. It was really frustrating. Thus, this fellow turned his grief and anger into appetite and scooped another bowl of porridge. Junior sister Yun, what is that on your wrist? Chu Fang asked in surprise. Due to her wide sleeves, he didn't notice that Yun Chujio had a red rope tied to both her wrists. He only saw a small bell tied to the red rope on her right hand. What was that on her left hand? Why did it look like a wooden fish? Yun Chujio was stunned when she heard Chu Fang's question. She lowered her head and looked at her own hands. She had forgotten about these two things. This fellow had the temperament of a wild goose plucking its feathers. Therefore, he had pulled a lot of good things from the ghost region and the demon region. However, when he returned to Towering Sky Continent, he was stunned to find that the origin beast pouch and storage rings from before had all disappeared. He did not expect that the demon sky clock and the wooden fish were still there. It was really strange. Yun Chujio tried to communicate with the demon sky clock and the wooden fish with her spiritual sense, but there was no response. Could it be that they had gone into hibernation? She thought for a moment. These two were treasures from the demon territory. They were probably useless in the Towering Sky Continent. So, they had gone into hibernation. Chu Fang saw that Yun Chujio was in a daze and did not say anything. He took a closer look and then asked, Junior sister Yun, could it be that you had an argument with your fiancé and wanted to become a monk? Yun Chujio glared at him. You are the one who wants to become a monk. Hurry up and eat. After you finish eating, clean up the courtyard for me. Chu Fang laughed dryly twice, but he cursed in his heart. Junior sister Yun was just a little girl, yet she brought these two things related to the temple. Was it really good? In the blink of an eye, it was time to set off for the Flying Flower Island. Since it was to attend the engagement banquet, naturally he would not bring many people. Therefore, Master Ouyang only brought Elder Dongfang, Elder Gu and Chu Fang. Chu Fang followed Elder Gu to the gathering place. He didn't see Yun Chujio, so he asked Master Ouyang in puzzlement, Master, why don't I see junior sister Yun? Master Ouyang looked at him in puzzlement. Little Jiao won't come with us this time, so she naturally won't come. After Master Ouyang said that, he summoned his flying spirit tool and was about to set off. Chu Fang was about to cry. Just as Chu Fang was feeling anxious, he saw He Xinjiu jumping over. Master, wait for me. How could you forget your precious disciple? Master Ouyang looked speechlessly at He Xinjiu, who had run over. What are you doing here? Cultivate well in the sect. While I'm away, you should assist Elder Duanmu well. Master Ouyang was 120 times unwilling to let He Xingjiu go to the Flying Flower Island because he knew about Chu Feng and Xiaoyu. He was afraid that his cheap disciple would ruin Island Master Qi's engagement party. He Xingjiu also knew this, so she didn't ask Master Ouyang to go with her. Instead, she caught Master Ouyang off guard. "Master, how can I trust you to go out alone? If I don't have a precious disciple who will cook for you? If I don't have a precious disciple who will entertain you? Moreover, Little Moon and I are good sisters. I naturally have to congratulate her on her engagement. I even prepared a wedding gift for her. Please let me go with you. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I will do anything good in the sect," He Xingjiu said while blinking her eyes. Chapter 4665 Have you received your retribution? Master Ouyang was so angry that he laughed. This little girl used both carrot and stick. It seemed that she had to go. However, he thought that this little girl was a troublemaker. It was indeed not safe for her to stay in the sect. It was better to keep an eye on her. Hence he nodded. "All right, then you can go with me. However, there is one thing. You are not allowed to cause trouble after you go. Otherwise, I will not forgive you." Yun Chujio nodded. "Master, don't worry, I will be obedient." Master Ouyang did not have much confidence in this fellow's guarantee, but he did not say anything. He summoned his flying spirit tool, and after the 5 of them went up, they set off for the Flying Flower Island. Chu Feng had a false alarm and wiped the cold sweat on his head. Thinking about how he would be able to see Xiaoyu soon, and then thinking about how Yun Chujio said that this engagement banquet would be between him and Xiaoyu, he was extremely excited. Elder Gu saw Chu Feng foolishly laughing at the side and shook his head. This silly disciple of his couldn't have gone crazy because he was too sad, right? He Xingjiu, on the other hand, was constantly fawning over Master Ouyang by the side, pouring tea, passing pastries, and even joking around to amuse him. Master Ouyang was very pleased. He had finally chosen the right third disciple. He Xingjiu had a good impression of him for a while, then returned to her cabin to think about her next step. This time she went to the Flying Flower Island to help Chu Feng and Xiaoyu on one hand, and on the other hand for the beads on the Flying Flower Island. Although she did not know what the black bead was, she had a feeling that the more beads the black bead swallowed, the closer she was to the truth of her previous life. She thought of Wan Qingba again and had a question in her heart. Although Wan Qingba was a member of the Divine Devil Hall, what was the relationship between him and Lan Luochen? Did he listen to Lan Luochen, or did he and Lan Luochen belong to the two forces of the Divine Devil Hall? Thinking of meeting Lan Luochen on the Flying Flower Island, He Xingjiu felt a headache, toothache, and pain all over her body. That was a psychopath. And it was a poisonous psychopath. Just as He Xingjiu was thinking, Chu Feng knocked on the door and came in. "Junior Sister Yun, we've encountered the flying spiritual weapon of the 9 pavilions. Tower Master Luochen is going to take our flying spiritual weapon to the Flying Flower Island together. The sect leader asked me to call you out." He Xingjiu wished she could slap herself. It was all because of her jinx. Master Ouyang's flying spirit tool was extremely luxurious. There was a cabin specially for guests. When Yun Chujio entered, she was talking and laughing cheerfully. It was very amiable. Tower Master Luochen saw Yun Chujio enter and his gaze immediately fell on her. He said with some concern, "Little Jiu, it's great that you're okay." Yun Chujio glanced at him and was slightly stunned. Lan Luochen had obviously lost a lot of weight compared to a year ago, and his complexion wasn't too good. Lan Luochen saw that Yun Chujio was sizing him up, and his face revealed some joy. Little Jiu was concerned about him? He looked at Yun Chujio with anticipation, but he heard Yun Chujio say faintly, "Tower Master Luochen, you have retribution?" Lan Luochen, Master Ouyang coughed dryly, "Tower Master, Little Jiu has been running a fever recently, so she's talking nonsense." Master Ouyang sighed in his heart. Tower Master Luochen was infatuated with Little Jiu, but Little Jiu was clearly happy with her fiancé. Tower Master Luochen was destined to be disappointed. Chapter 4666. Chu Feng, who was glared at Lan Luochen's eyes, instantly dimmed. He smiled bitterly and continued to chat with Master Ouyang. He Xingjiu stood behind Master Ouyang and had no intention of talking to Lan Luochen. After a while, Yun Chujio found an excuse to go back to her cabin. She didn't want to suffer there. For the rest of the journey, besides eating, Lan Luochen didn't have the chance to see Yun Chujio at all. Even so, his mood was much better. It was good to see Little Jiu. He thought of the next plan and was a little excited. Soon, Little Jiu would be able to stay by his side. A few days later, Everyone arrived at the Sea of All Things. Elder Jia of the Flying Flower Island was already waiting by the seaside. After some small talk, the group boarded the ship and headed to the Flying Flower Island. Hei Xinjiu recalled that when she first came here, she was still an inner disciple. Now that she had become the sect leader's disciple, her heart was filled with joy. When this fellow saw the sea beasts that occasionally appeared in the sea, he thought of the group of giant winged birds in his spirit beast bag and could not help but feel a little guilty. She had never been able to find a suitable place for them to nest. The Sea of All Things forbade flying, and it wasn't suitable for them to build a nest either. The fellow decided that after this matter, she would help them find a suitable place to build a nest no matter what. This time the group wasn't arranged to be on the guest island. Instead, they were directly arranged to be in the guest house on the main island. The hospitality of the Flying Flower Island was quite good. Elder Jia said a few more polite words before leaving. Chu Fang could not wait to find Hei Xinjiu. Junior Sister Yun, what should we do next? Should we think of a way to see the little moon? What's the hurry? Perhaps Island Master Qi has already sent people to keep an eye on us. We can't act rashly. Besides, we arrived earlier than expected. The official date of the engagement party is in 3 days. No hurry, take your time. Yun Chujio said with narrowed eyes. Although Chu Fang was burning with anxiety, he didn't dare to disobey Yun Chujio. He could only obediently stay in the guest house. That night, Island Master Qi specially held a banquet to entertain Master Ouyang and Tower Master Luochen. Hei Xinjiu naturally took the opportunity to go with him. He actually dared to trick his precious disciple? He was really courting death. In his opinion, Chu Fang must have used some kind of method. Otherwise, how could such an outstanding disciple like him fall for such a good-for-nothing trash? Chu Fang felt Island Master Qi's unkind gaze. Just as he was about to cower like usual, he remembered Yun Chujio's instructions. He gritted his teeth and straightened his back, his expression as usual. Island Master Qi was stunned. Oh, this good-for-nothing had improved this time? Every time he saw him, he would act like a mouse seeing a cat. Why did he become neither servile nor overbearing this time? Could it be that he had given up because Xiaoyu was about to be engaged? When Island Master Qi thought of this, not only was he not happy, he was even a little angry. This brat really did not have any sincerity towards Xiaoyu. Otherwise, why would he give up so easily? How outrageous. Although Island Master Qi was angry, he couldn't say anything. He just glared at Chu Fang even more angrily and started to chat with Master Ouyang and the others. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Island Master Qi looked at an old man with a smile. Elder Diao, call Luo Feng over so that everyone can get to know each other. Chapter 46-67. Trust Xiao Jiu, get Xiaoyu. Luo Feng was Xiaoyu's betrothal partner, Elder Diao's eldest disciple. Island Master Qi originally planned to wait until the betrothal banquet to introduce Luo Feng to everyone. However, seeing that Chu Fang didn't care at all, he wanted to use Luo Feng to provoke Chu Fang and make Chu Fang feel inferior. After a moment, a young man wearing the clothes of a true disciple of the Flying Flower Island walked in. Hei Xinjiu sized him up. To be honest, this Luo Feng looked a bit stronger than Chu Fang, and her spirit energy was also one level higher than Chu Fang's, but so what? Little Moon liked Chu Fang, not him. Moreover, she felt that this Luo Feng's gaze was a bit erratic, making people feel uneasy and definitely not a good match. After Luo Feng respectfully bowed, Island Master Qi smiled and helped him introduce Master Ouyang and the others. Luo Feng's behavior was quite appropriate, which made Island Master Qi even more satisfied. He had carefully selected this person among the many disciples on the island, so he was naturally much stronger than that blockhead Chu Fang. Thinking of this, Island Master Qi went to see Chu Fang's expression, but he was disappointed to find that although his expression was slightly stiff, it wasn't much different from usual. How could he know that if Hei Xinjiu hadn't taken precautions for Chu Fang might not have been able to hold on for so long? Even so, he still felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Was this Luo Feng the person Island Master Qi had arranged for Little Moon to be engaged to? Although she was slightly stronger than him and her spirit energy was one level higher than his, so what? He had junior sister Yun. He trusted little Jiu and got Xiaoyu. Yes, that was it. At this moment, dishes and wine were served one after another. Flying Flower Island was close to the sea, so most of the dishes and wine were sea beasts or the specialties of the sea. Hei Xinjiu was quite happy eating. This fellow secretly made a lot of food into the spirit beast bag in a shameless manner and gave it to those dumb cuties to eat. Thus, Master Ouyang watched with a stiff expression as his precious disciple quickly finished off her table of food. He thought to himself that it was a good thing that everyone had a separate square table for this banquet, or else, it would really be too embarrassing. Others might even think that their nameless sword sect couldn't even afford to eat. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 different dishes, Island Master Qi said with a smile, "There's no point in eating and drinking so dryly. Master Ouyang, why don't we let the juniors have a competition?" Master Ouyang was also an old fox, so he naturally understood Island Master Qi's meaning. He wanted to refuse, but as a guest, it wasn't good to give face to Island Master Qi. So he could only say, "Okay, but don't go too far. That's for sure. Luo Feng, spar with Chu Feng of the Nameless Sword Sect. Be careful of your boundaries and don't injure him," said Island Master Qi. Luo Feng immediately stood up and smiled at Chu Feng. "Young Master Chu, please." Although Chu Feng knew he wasn't a match for Luo Feng, he naturally wouldn't bow to a love rival, so he stood up and walked up to Luo Feng. Luo Feng lightly smiled and said, "Young hero Chu, my spirit energy level is 1 level higher than yours. For fairness' sake, I'll suppress my spirit energy to the same level as yours, 4th level of Spirit Nirvana realm, and I'll give you 3 moves." Chu Feng's face instantly flushed red. He didn't think Luo Feng was being kind and was clearly humiliating him. He Xinjia's eyes instantly narrowed. Luo Feng actually dared to bully her people. This Luo Feng really deserved to be taught a lesson. Chapter 4668. Senior Brother Chu has gone astray. There's no need. Since it's a competition, we naturally have to do our best. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to the opponent. Make your move. Chu Feng said coldly. Although he was a little dazed about Xiao Yu's matter and was crushed into dregs in front of He Xinjiu, his thoughts were very meticulous. Otherwise, he wouldn't have discovered He Xinjia's perversion so early on. He knew that regardless of whether Luo Feng suppressed his spirit energy or not, he wouldn't be a match for Luo Feng. Since that was the case, why should he let Luo Feng have a magnanimous reputation? Luo Feng's expression froze. He thought this Chu Feng was stupid, but he didn't expect him to be a sharp-tongued person. However, the competition didn't rely on words. He would let him learn a lesson today and vent the anger in his heart. He had long coveted Xiao Yu, but Island Master Qi had originally planned to marry Xiao Yu to Tower Master Luochen, so he could only conceal his thoughts. Later on, after his various schemes, the pie finally landed on his head. However, when he thought of Xiao Yu refusing to be engaged to him because of Chu Feng, he hated Chu Feng to death. Luo Feng thought of this and did not say anything else. She immediately raised her sword and stabbed towards Chu Feng. The two of them fought and were evenly matched at the beginning. No matter what, Chu Feng was still a core disciple of the Nameless Sword Sect. Although his level was lower than Luo Feng's, he would not be at a disadvantage at the very beginning. However, as time passed, Luo Feng gradually gained the upper hand. Luo Feng originally thought that she would be able to force Chu Feng to admit defeat very soon. However, even though Chu Feng suffered a few minor injuries, he did not have the intention of admitting defeat and continued to grit his teeth and endure. Luo Feng revealed a trace of a cold smile. The sword in his right hand stabbed towards Chu Feng, but water spirit energy gathered in his left hand, and a mist instantly enveloped Chu Feng. This mist was not an ordinary mist. Every drop of water within was a sharp thorn, and once it pierced through a vital point, it would be fatal. Chu Feng was greatly alarmed and hurriedly released his sword intent to block the mist. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through Luo Feng's eyes. The treasured sword in his hand stabbed towards Chu Feng's lower abdomen. If it pierced through this time, Chu Feng would definitely be heavily injured. As Luo Feng intentionally lured Chu Feng towards the door, it was already too late for Elder Gu and the others to make a move, and they could only watch as Chu Feng was injured. At this moment, Luo Feng suddenly staggered, and because he used too much strength, he actually directly fell to the ground. Chu Feng wasn't a fool and naturally wouldn't let go of this good opportunity. He picked up the treasured sword and slashed at Luo Feng's face that had just been raised before sending Luo Feng flying with a kick. He Xinjiu almost laughed out loud. As for why Luo Feng fell, it was naturally because of Xiao Hanyo. Luo Feng quickly walked in, flustered and exasperated. His injuries were not serious, but because of the cut on his face was covered in blood and he was in an exceptionally sorry state. Just as he was about to continue, He Xinjiu said with a smile, "Island Master Qi, the victor has already been decided, so there's no need to continue the competition, right?" Luo Feng had already been kicked out of the door by my senior brother Chu. If this was on the competition stage, it would be equivalent to being kicked off the competition stage, so what was the point of continuing the competition? Island Master Qi looked at Luo Feng, whose face was covered in blood, and then looked at the calm and composed Chu Feng, and his heart felt as though it was bickering with a dog. This was completely different from what he had expected, okay? Luo Feng usually looked pretty good, but why was she so useless today? He was so angry. Chapter 4669. Spirit Bees help Island Master Qi. Don't overdo it. Let them spar with each other in the future. Master Ouyang was secretly pleased when he saw Island Master Qi's stiff old face, but he still gave him a way out. Island Master Qi waved his hand and signaled Chu Feng and Luo Feng to return to their seats. Chu Feng calmly returned to his seat, but Luo Feng was in a much worse state. Her face was covered in blood, so she could only find an excuse to slip away. Island Master Qi only felt that he couldn't let go of the anger in his heart. He originally wanted to make Chu Feng lose face, but now he had made him the center of attention. Island Master Qi was in a bad mood, so he forced himself to be energetic and perfunctory for a while before the banquet ended. Returning to the guest house, He Xinjiu sneakily asked Chu Feng, "Senior brother Chu, did you deliberately scratch that Luo Feng's face?" An unnatural look flashed across Chu Feng's face as he mumbled, "It was just a coincidence." Yun Chujio curled her lips. "Stop pretending in front of me. However, I don't think that Luo Feng will let this go and will find trouble with you. When the time comes, you can work with him as hard as you want. Leave everything else to me." Chu Feng nodded. Without Yun Chujio saying anything, he would not show weakness to Luo Feng either. To their surprise, Luo Feng did not find trouble with Chu Feng for the next 2 days and was very quiet. Yun Chujio thought about it and understood the reason. Luo Feng's face was hurt by Chu Feng, so he was probably recovering from his injury. Otherwise, he would have embarrassed himself at the engagement party. Moreover, he only wanted to nail down the engagement and naturally did not want to cause any trouble. "Junior sister Yun, tomorrow is the engagement day. Why aren't you making any movements?" Chu Feng anxiously asked. "What's the rush? I have my own arrangements, just wait," He Xinjiu said with a smile. Chu Feng did not know what He Xinjiu was up to, so he could only pray in his heart that Yun Chujio did not deceive him and that the main characters of the engagement banquet the next day would be him and Xiaoyu. After Chu Feng left, a spirit bee flew into He Xinjia's courtyard and landed on He Xinjia's palm. He Xinjiu used her divine sense to ask the spirit bee for some information, such as where Xiaoyu's courtyard was and how many guards were guarding it. This fellow originally wanted to see Xiaoyu in person, but when he heard the news from the spirit bee, he gave up the idea. There were many guards outside Xiaoyu's courtyard, so it was impossible for her to see Xiaoyu quietly. He Xinjiu recalled Chu Feng saying that he had broken off contact with Xiaoyu, so there was a high chance that the voice transmission talisman in Xiaoyu's hand had been confiscated by Island Master Qi. The spirit bee immediately grabbed the leaf and flew to Xiaoyu's courtyard. Xiaoyu was wiping her tears in the yard when she heard a click. She saw a storage ring wrapped in a leaf on the stone table in front of her. She looked up in surprise and saw a spirit bee flapping its wings and flying away. She picked up the storage ring and realized that there were no other people's spiritual perception imprints on it. She immediately sent her spiritual perception in and discovered that there was a voice transmission talisman, a bottle of pills and some miscellaneous items inside. Just when Xiaoyu was puzzled, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. She quickly sent her spiritual sense into it and He Xinjia's careless voice came from inside, "Dear little moon, do you still remember the little fairy Jiu of the nameless sword sect?" Chapter 4670, Xiaoyu whose life was hanging by a thread. Hearing He Xinjia's voice, Xiaoyu's tears fell even more fiercely. She sobbed and said, "So you're not dead yet? Didn't I say you were dead? Little Yu, your words are still as unpleasant as before. Let me ask you, do you want to marry that Luo Feng or Chu Feng? If you want to marry Luo Feng, it'll persuade senior brother Chu to give up completely. If you want to marry senior brother Chu, he'll help you deal with that Island Master Qi who broke up the couple and make him agree to your marriage. Can you really convince my master?" Xiaoyu asked with a trembling voice. It wasn't that she hadn't fought back or begged before, but Island Master Qi only agreed on one thing. She could only marry a disciple of the Flying Flower Island so that when she inherited the position of Island Master in the future, more people would support her. "It's a piece of cake. Let alone letting you marry Chu Feng, even if I let you marry a pig, I can still get that stubborn old fool to agree, He Xingjiu said smugly. Xiao Yu? He Xingjiu immediately kissed Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu's face flushed red as she felt that this Xiao Yu was becoming immoral. After He Xingjiu and Xiao Yu finished discussing, Xiao Yu took out the bottle of pills and poured one into her mouth and swallowed it. The next morning an old woman brought 2 maids to help Xiao Yu dress up. However, when she pushed open the bedroom door, she cried out in shock. Xiao Yu's originally jade-like face was filled with lumps of all sizes. This was nothing. The main thing was that the corner of Xiao Yu's mouth, the blanket, and even the ground was stained with blood. As for Xiao Yu, her breathing was like a thread, as though she was going to die at any moment. The old woman was so frightened that she almost lost her pulse. She scrambled to deliver the letter to Island Master Qi. Island Master Qi's head was buzzing. He originally thought that the old woman was exaggerating, but by the time he arrived, Xiao Yu was already half dead. "Yes, Master, I can't do it anymore. In the future, no, I can't be filial." Xiao Yu's neck tilted after she said that and she stopped breathing. Island Master Qi reached out his trembling hand to check Xiao Yu's breathing. When he found that there was still a trace of her breath, he couldn't help but cry and shout, Quickly find the doctors on the island. And then, invite Tower Master Luochen and the others over." The reason why Island Master Qi called Lan Luochen and the others over was that he was afraid that the doctors on the island wouldn't be able to find the cause of the illness. Perhaps the people from other sects would be able to find the clues. Chu Feng and He Xingjiu naturally followed them. When Chu Feng saw Xiao Yu's appearance, his eyes immediately turned red. He ignored Elder Gus' obstruction and rushed to Xiao Yu's bed. He pushed away Island Master Qi and held Xiao Yu's hand as he said with a trembling voice, "Xiao Yu, what happened to you? Don't scare me." When he saw that Xiao Yu did not react in the slightest, he looked angrily at the dejected Island Master Qi. "Tell me, how did Xiao Yu become like this? Did you force her? Tell me." Elder Gu was afraid that Chu Feng would cause trouble, so he took a step forward and struck him unconscious with a palm. He gave an apologetic glance at Island Master Qi before dragging Chu Feng to the back and placing him on a chair. The island's physician arrived very quickly, but after seeing Xiao Yu's condition, he shook his head and sighed. "Island Master, Miss Xiao Yu's condition is really rare. This old man is incompetent and is unable to diagnose the cause of the illness." When Island Master Qi heard this, his body swayed a few times and he barely managed to maintain his figure. He looked pleadingly at Tower Master Luochen and the others. "Everyone, do you have any ideas? As long as you can save my disciple's life, I will agree to any request you make." Chapter 4671 Resentment of a Woman. There were indeed people who were proficient in medical skills among the guests, but after the diagnosis they shook their heads and sighed. "Island Master Qi, it's not that we can't do our best. It's just that Xiao Yu's symptoms are really rare. We really can't do anything about it." Island Master Qi slumped to the ground dejectedly. How did such a happy event turn into this? At this moment, Elder Jia of the Flying Flower Island frowned and said, "Island Master, I seem to have seen this situation in an ancient book. It's just that the treatment method is a little difficult to handle." Island Master Qi's eyes suddenly lit up as he immediately jumped up and grabbed Elder Jia's arm tightly. "What method? Tell me quickly." Elder Jia sighed and said, "Xiao Yu, this is actually not an illness but a kind of poison." "What? Poison?" Everyone was stunned. Who would have the guts to poison Xiao Yu? Island Master Qi was also stunned. "Poison? You mean someone poisoned Xiao Yu?" Elder Jia shook his head. "Although this is poison, it wasn't done by anyone, but by the poison produced in her body." Elder Jia's words made everyone even more confused. This was too roundabout. What did he mean by this? Elder Jia continued, "Only unmarried girls will get this kind of illness. It's called the poison of resentment against women. When a young girl's love is just beginning, once she has the clear qi in her body and the murky qi in her body sinks, her entire person will become even more beautiful and moving. It's precisely because of this that once her wish is unable to be fulfilled, the originally sinking murky qi will turn into a poison. Most people will only have a weak body or suffer a serious illness before dissipating. However, there will be a very small number of people with special physiques. The turbid poison is very serious and this will endanger their lives. Moreover, the illness will take place very quickly. From the time the illness takes place to the time of death, it will only take 3 days." Everyone was dumbstruck when they heard this. This was the first time they had heard such a statement. However, they had heard rumors that many young girls had fallen ill because their families had broken up the lovebirds. There were all kinds of strange things in the world. This should be true. When Island Master Qi heard this, he was so regretful that his intestines turned green. If he knew that his precious disciple would die because he did not agree to the marriage, he would not object even if she wanted to marry a pig. He grabbed Elder Jia's arm tightly. Elder Jia, since you know the cause of the illness, you also know how to treat it, right? Quickly tell me, how can I treat her? Speak. What method is it? Island Master Qi nearly strangled him to death. What time was it? Hard to say, my ass. That, as long as someone engages in conjugal affairs with Xiao Yu and draws the poison in her body into her body, Xiao Yu will recover completely. However, the other party will suffer a great loss of vitality because of this and might even lose her life, Elder Jia said with a flushed face. Elder Jia felt as though his heart was bickering with a dog. His nonsense was naturally taught to him by He Xingjiu. No one else could think of such a wicked method. He wanted to refuse, but He Xingjiu had grasped his weakness. He did not know how this stinky girl knew that he and Luo Feng's master, Elder Diao, were on bad terms. She kissed him, saying that if Xiao Yu married Luo Feng, then there would be no place for him in the future. Moreover, Elder Jia usually doted on Xiao Yu and did not want her to miss her lover and marry someone she did not like. Therefore, Elder Jia braced himself to help put on an act. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.